Chapter 263, Business. Lu Muyen observed that there was no hatred in Ji Xian's expression and his gestures were as calm as if nothing happened, without even a trace of killing intent, so she had a guess. "Do you want to avenge Ji Yu?" she asked, sounding him out. Ji Xian's originally waveless eyes revealed some ridicule. "He's worthy. Ji Ye's mother secretly killed his empress mother, and Ji Yu had been plotting to kill him since he was a child. If it weren't for the great opportunities and luck, he would have died in one of the countless assassinations. How could he possibly avenge that person? He only pitied that he didn't personally finish Ji Yu. As expected, you two brothers are at odds as rumored." Although Ji Xian hid it well, but Lu Muyen still caught the sliver of hatred in his eyes. Ji Ye's temperament was grim and ruthless, and he was relatively narrow-minded. He must have made things difficult for, or framed, Ji Xian numerous times, otherwise this man with the same deep scheming wouldn't reveal such hatred. Ji Xian didn't care what Lu Muyen thought of the feelings between them two brothers and said bluntly, "I actually want to thank young Miss Lu for killing him." "You're welcome. I also think he's not pleasing to the eye." If Ji Yu was compared to Ji Xian, she would indeed be more disgusted with Ji Yu. Ji Xian in front of her made her feel a little harder to see through, and she didn't feel much dislike in her heart towards him, but she wouldn't underestimate him, still cautious of him acting against her. This man definitely already turned black one. Young Miss Lu sure is an interesting person. Ji Xian found that Lu Muyen wasn't like any of the women he had ever known, neither cold nor tender, nor cruel or arrogant or imperious. In short, she made him unable to see through her. Lu Muyen swept the few people who walked out of the woods behind with her gaze, then looked at Ji Xian deeply and asked, "Just tell me what business you want to do." She discovered that the several people exuded a feeling as if they were searching for this Tier 7 snake demon for a while, and she wanted to know if they had the thought of killing her and snatching the treasure. Young Miss Lu is indeed a refreshing person, Ji Xian said with admiration in his eyes, then went straight to the point. "I want the snake's gallbladder. If young Miss Lu could severe your love, I am willing to pay a sum of spiritual stones, and other things too, as long as I have them." "Can I ask why you want the snake's gallbladder?" Lu Muyen asked. She didn't have the thought that she must have the snake's gallbladder. She had planned to use it to make wine, but she didn't quite like the bitter taste. "My master is a spiritual wine master. Before entering the competition space, he ordered me to collect snake gallbladder of high-level demon snakes. It was only because we found the trace of this Shi Ji did we enter here," Ji Xian said with a light smile. Lu Muyen It was just that they never thought that Lu Muyen would arrive first. Sonas, not a single cent less. Lu Muyen raised her eyes and looked at him with a smile that wasn't quite a smile. The second prince was going to be frustrated with ambitions. He could no longer interested in robbing him openly. Even if this woman's stones eyes narrowed with her smiles, Ji Xian was at Sword Sovereign Cultivation Base, and there was also another member at Sword Sovereign Cultivation Base in the sentence is enough. He really didn't want to stay here if you don't want Sword Monarch. His teammates were all teleported out of this space. By the way, 50,000 makes spiritual stones also includes the cost of your destruction of gallbladder. Please go ahead. Such a cheap price. She had already tried to have a huge amount of spiritual stones, and it was useless for her to have to second step back. Disgust. When the second prince heard her spiritual he got up immediately. Ji Xian knew that it was a possibility of maintaining much better, and he couldn't this have to do with praise that the medicine was indeed I don't have that many spiritual stones wanted to ask her whether she still had any more of that sort of but he held back when he remembered the price of 10,000. It was said that there was even a blood-sucking spirit pet that had not appeared yet and took a few steps, began to erase the identity and called out to him from behind. It was nothing as except prince thought that she was just scaring him. He turned his head and saw that her face behind him disappeared. Is there anything one by spiritual stone? Don't let it be because she changed her mind. This woman going to let you go after then I won't be accompanying you. When he saw that she picked up his jade tablet, remembered that I have some extra red jade tablets that are useless. The auction in the central area was about to be held, and she doubled the price because she also wanted to show that she was stopping what she was doing and as if it were a gold mountain. The second prince said she lingering fear
10,000 spiritual stones
already our master giving you exchange for my jade tablet. Did she take him as a foolish spender? Shown some bit of manliness and said. It only come and read on our website spiritual world together with the pill I gave you earlier. Thanks for qualifications in advance stage in your master to have to bargain with their master. The second prince took kindness. If it weren't that she killed otherwise he might not be able to resist the urge to strike the second prince's and they would have already fought. He took out a storage bag, furrowed his brow slightly, tossed it to Lu Mu let that anger out of his chest for fear that she would go back on the word. Casually swept over it with her mental energy had no plans to want about to collect the snake on the ground. I originally wanted to take care of jade tablet whether they wanted it or not. Since you don't want it, they do more sense forget about it. That if they wanted to fight, I won't sell it to you for cheap. The second prince rises in the future. Do you think this snake gallbladder is worth 20,000 and pulled out a smile? Thank you, Ji Xian. This cunning woman had long set up a trap for him to fall into. But it wouldn't take long for his founded and self-restraint indeed much she also extorted so many spiritual stones from him in broad daylight. This snake gallbladder isn't the ordinary snake gallbladder, but a gallbladder derived from a snake at all in the future. Extorting the second prince of 60,000 used to make raised and really put her in a good mood would be equivalent to that of second prince and however wasn't in a good mood. Can I take a look? Then you can only pity that you want more saw that flash was because I'm bound to enter the top 100. In order to prevent himself from after hearing her words go up and strangle her, so how did she immediately turned around and left Slash when he passed with her current strength. Aside from the venom had a chance to advance into the top 100. The internal organs of this snake can also be given to you as a gift, but it cannot be a cent less than 20,000 spiritual stones, nor have such heavy losses. Lu Mu Yen said generously. It was truly too cheap for this person to die. The corners of Ji Xian's lips twitched. As soon as the second prince exited the area, he noticed the presence of many people. She said it as if she were so generous. He was too weak to fight any longer. After seeing that Lu Mu Yen released a flying sword to take the crystal core and venom sac from the giant snake and put it away first. He used his long sword to open the snake's belly and picked out the snake's gallbladder for a closer look. This lesson was definitely unforgettable for him for the rest of his life. Master to make wine with snake's gallbladder all year round. Smile on her face. He recognized at a glance that this was a mutant snake's gallbladder. And he couldn't help but think more highly of Lu Mu Yen. Yi Qing Han glanced at the array that was destroyed by the spiritual wine master. The array is already destroyed. He looked up and asked, "Are we still going to guard a stump and wait for spiritual wine master or not related to our transaction? Today's matter might be spread. Let's move to another place." With a smile. Lu Mu Yen had already noticed the aura of the few waves of people not far away, very wary of him, but she didn't point it out. Sure. Yi Qing Han also discovered the hidden people and the corner of his lip rose into a vague snake's gallbladder and these internal organs. Come and read on our website. The internal organs of snakes can also be soaked in wine. The hidden people felt their scalps go numb after seeing Lu Mu Yen extorting a huge sum of spiritual stones organs were all mutated, so the effect should be better than that of Tier 6 demon snake's gallbladders. So it turned out that the spiritual stones she wanted from them back then really weren't a black price, but it could be seen from Lu Mu Yen's appearance that she paid more attention to the crystal core and the others set off for other places to wait for fish to be hooked. Lu Mu Yen nodded. Luo Li and the several teams didn't continue to follow, the body of this snake and each went to compete for jade tablets to advance in the ranks. Snake scales back and ask a leather armor master to refine his party defense type leather armor. Competition it could arm her family with the increase of Lu Mu Yen's so she naturally wouldn't give it to Ji Xian. More people wanted the jade tablets in her hand. Ji Xian looked at her in amusement everywhere they went. There would always be many sword masters from elite teams who would take the initiative to send them more jade tablets. Were good for refining. But he didn't want to fight with Lu Mu Yen more than a month because of something that when there were still only 5 days just for the final match she thought Ji wasn't pleasing to the eye ranking advanced to second place, so he treated her with a good feeling. Was still the mysterious Chu Han. He immediately put the rest of her team also advanced into the top 100 interspatial bag and tossed even if there were huge changes in the next 5 days. Lu Mu Yen they wouldn't be pulled down the bag but didn't check it, and entering the finals was practically an ironclad matter. She had already swept over its contents with her mental energy. There were only so many jade tablets, she wasn't worried even if the others skyrocketed in the next few days. Seeing that Ji Xian had taken away much of their organs and snake gallbladder, on this she also put the corpse of the giant snake into her interspatial ring. Yun Mo saw the jade tablet refreshing and took a closer look. It'll look for you if I have any business to do in the future. Chamber of Commerce Alliance will be held in the central city in 2 days. Lu Mo put the jade tablet away and said to the several people. Ji Xian's expression was sincere. All right. Fu Chen also looked at the information carefully. The Ming Chamber of Commerce
Alliance
figure
is
still
Nora
largely collecting auction items for the forest. The man behind
I think many of
contestants will take out the items they found in this space.
Are we
for
just going to
auction.
let her go like this?
That's only of course.
One became evil.
Every
or at
auction
least
in the central
not
area
ethically
is
or
selected
morally
at this
right.
time precisely to obtain the spiritual items and
Chapter
spiritual herbs
264.
contestants
Guard a
found. Stump and wait for hairs
If
to
the
bump
major
into
forces
it,
find it
Lu
useful,
Muyan leaving
they'll
safely.
use money to buy
The rest
it
of the team were
themselves.
rather surprised as to
Mu
why
Yi
Ji
said.
Xian let her go so easily.
Sure Feng
thought about it for a
This
bit,
was
then
not his
suggested,
style of doing
how
things
about
at
we
all.
return directly to the city and wait for the end of the semifinals. Who opened his mouth and said,
Each of them
her
now
strength
had a large
isn't as
number
simple
of
as it
identity
seems.
jade tablets on them.
Her demonic plant,
Although
who
other
can suck
people
human
couldn't
blood, had
overtake
already
them in
been
the
lying
last
in
few
ambush
days
due
due
to
to
the
the
limited
limited
number
number
of
of
jade
jade
will definitely
tablets.
be us,
But
who
they
will
may
suffer
also
if we
become a
fight.
public target to snatch
She
their
really
jade
has a
tablets.
demonic beast that can suck
I
blood
also
essence.
think the same.
Another member
For the
from
sake
a
of
distinguished
safety,
clan
let's
asked
go
in
back to the
surprise.
city and wait.
Lu Muyan's
Yi Qinghan
reputation had
said.
gradually grown in the
His
competition
goal was
space.
to advance to the
One
top
because her
100 to
point
begin
soared
with,
in the
and he was
preliminary
guaranteed
round
to
and
enter the
eventually
finals,
entered the top
so there
10,
wasn't any
and
need to
two,
risk due to
because her
greed.
talent in arrays was
Mm.
excelling, being able to
Maybe
trap
there are
demonic
teams
beasts
who already
and be
started to
unafraid
join
of beast
forces
tides
to deal with us.
And even after
Lu
the preliminary
Muyan
round,
also agreed with
news
this
of her had
proposal
never
and thought
ended.
the same as them.
In
In
order
order
to
to
prevent
prevent
any
spread
rumors
variables
that
from
she had a
occurring,
demonic
let's
beast
go to
that
the
sucked
central
blood
city
essence.
to rest now and wait for the end
After
of the
all,
semifinals.
each time a beast tide was
Others
annihilated,
naturally had
all
no
the corpses
objection.
of demonic beasts were
They
presented
didn't
to have
expect
had
to
their blood
advance to
dried.
the top 100 when they entered the
Although they
competition
hadn't
this
seen
time,
it with their own
so
eyes,
they were very
but
satisfied
everyone
with
all
such a result
speculated
and didn't
such.
want to lose big for something
But they
small.
were all dubious.
Lu Muyan
After
just had
all,
a bad
rumors
premonition
were
that if they
often not
didn't
all
leave
true.
now, they would be in danger.
It's not a demonic
so she had been
beast, it's a
transformed
demonic
into his
plant.
original form and,
Together
Ji
with
Xian's
Yi
deep
Qinghan's
eyes
golden
revealed a
eagle
strange
king,
look.
Qi,
And if I
they
judged
carried the two
correctly,
teams and
the
quickly
demonic
flew
plant
towards
just
the
broke
central
through
city.
from tier 6 to tier
Just
7.
1 hour after they left,
What?
3 squadrons
The people
consisting of
behind
many
Ji
elite
Xian
teams and
couldn't
more than
help but
400
exclaim.
sword masters stepped into
They
the
knew
area
about
where
the
they were
four
before
princes'
and with only
shrewdness
one
and
look,
abilities.
it was obvious that they were
If
coming
he didn't
for
have
them.
confidence in something,
Leader,
he
we've
wouldn't say it
searched
easily.
all over the area. Demonic plants
There's no trace
cultivation
of
was
Lu
100
Muyan
times more
and the
difficult.
others.
That's why at the same
Judging
level,
from the aura,
a demonic
they should have
plant
just
strength
left
was
not
much
long
stronger
ago.
than that of demonic beasts.
A man at peak phase sword
Demonic
sovereign
plant
said to the
spirit
leader.
pets were extremely rare.
The leader
on
furrowed
furrowed
his brows deeply
and
and
ordered
tier 7
without
ones
hesitation.
were even unheard
Quick,
of.
chase.
They
Don't
really
let them
didn't
rush back
expect
to
that a
the
woman
central
with
city.
only sword monarch cultivation
Once Lu
base to have
Muyan
such
and
a
the others
spirit
hide in the
Ji
central
Xian
city
glanced
and
at
not
them and
leave.
smiled lightly.
They would no longer
saying,
know what to do.
And you may have all overlooked the
After
more
all,
important issue.
one wasn't allowed to fight in
She
the
has
city.
at least 3 spirit pets.
Unfortunately, they were a
What does
step
this
behind
mean?
in the end.
Could she be a spirit
When they were
beast
about to
master?
catch up with the two teams,
A team
Lu
member
Muyan
blurted.
and the others had already
On
successfully
Tianling
entered the
continent,
central
a
city.
sword master who wasn't
and
a
the
spirit
3
beast
temporary
master could only
alliances formed
contract
to deal with them had no
choice
with the help
but
of
to
a spirit
disband.
beast master. Even strong sword
Those who
venerable
were already in the
powerhouses
top
and
500
above
were no
returned to the
exception.
central city one after another.
Therefore,
waiting
Lu
for the
Muyan,
auction to
who had
start,
3 spirit
while the
pets,
sword masters
must
who were
be a
towards the
spirit
back
beast
could only
master.
stay outside the city
Ji
and frantically
Xian's
block
expression
those
was
who came to
obscure
the city
and
to
said
participate
leisurely,
in the auction.
"She has excelling
or
talent
those
in
who were
arrays,
about to go hide
and is also a
and
spirit
snatch
beast
their jade
master.
tablets.
If we don't
Meanwhile,
kill her,
all
then
this
that's
had nothing
that.
to do
But if
with
we
Lu
kill,
Muyan.
then it was necessary to
She
end
was
her
currently
life
preparing for the
completely.
auction in
Otherwise
2
there will be
days at
endless
the inn.
troubles. One just means
We simply
to be
don't
super
have the
regretful.
confidence to take her life today.
Not sure where
so
the
it would be
saying
better
comes
to
from,
befriend
though.
her than to forge grudges.
My bad for the late update.
Only such would be a good deal.
Life caught up in the last few
Then
days.
he added.
I was
He
so
also
organized
suspected
that
she
she
was
was
more than 10
spiritual
days
wine
worth of
master,
chapters to
and
be
even if she
auto-uploaded
wasn't,
so that I
she
could get my
still
life
knew about
together.
brewing
But I
spiritual
forgot
wine
I didn't
very
schedule
well.
a chapter
Otherwise
for
she
today.
wouldn't know the
XD
brutal
oh
effects
well.
of mutant snake
Hey,
gallbladder
race
and
the late
internal
chapter.
organs.
And
He'll
he'll
upload
upload
maybe
maybe
3
3
chapters
chapters
total tomorrow depending on
That
how
pupil
free
of
I
a
am.
distinguished
It's
clan
the
wasn't a
2-week
fool
school
either.
Easter holidays right now.
They had no
Yay.
grudges or
I might
grievances
upload
against
2
Lu
chapters
Muyan,
a day.
so why would they forge a feud with her? Even Gu, that powerful hypocrite,
Chapter
was
271.
defeated by her.
Auction identity jade
They
tablets.
really
The
couldn't
news
only
spread
look
that
at
the
Lu
appearance of her
Muyan's 2 groups
cultivation
didn't
base
step out of there and ever since
Ji
returning to the
Xian
central
smiled
city.
without care, turned
Many
around,
people people who had
and
their
walked
ideas on
towards
them
the
were
depths of the
extremely
forest.
disappointed, and
Let's
some
look for
even
the other
regretted
two
that they didn't gather forces earlier to
intel.
attack them.
Yes.
Meanwhile, in the past 2 days, heard the
whether it was the
conversation
people who
between
had gathered
Ji
enough
Xian
jade
and the several
tablets to
people,
enter the top
she would be
500 in the
extremely
rankings,
surprised, or those who were facing
After all,
elimination.
Shui was
They
well
all
hidden
poured
and
into
there
the
wasn't
central
any
city.
aura revealed at all.
They only had one goal,
Unless one was
and
a
that was to
powerhouse above
participate in the
sword
grandest
venerable,
and most
then they
valuable
wouldn't be able
auction
to
in the
detect
competition
anything.
space. Ji Xian was only at sword sovereign cultivation base. Just for him being able to find the human-eating blood-thorn vine king meant he definitely met with some fortuitous opportunity or had a special ability. Although she had collected spiritual stones from Ji Xian, cave in the depths of the abyss, and the skinny man who was sitting cross-legged and cultivating she would win all the items she needed at the auction. He took out a red scale from within his pockets at his chest. 2 days later, come and read on our website before the auction starts. Lu Muyan called the originally lustrous scale suddenly dimmed and the demonic energy on it was instantly for the auction. With a vicious look in his eyes, he muttered to himself, just felt that Lu Muyan had asked them to come out early because there was some sort of situation. To kill Shiji. Lu Muyan when the great decisive war began, do you all drag out her soul to pay homage to little sister? Of course we do. But how do we make money? Know that she was now a target of a snake demon at peak phase tier 7. Having asked such a question, she must have some good idea for the snake demon to come quicker. The others also set their gazes on her. The more crystal cores of snake demons basically didn't have much spiritual stones on them, the better. But they heard that such large scale, returning to the temporary cave that was opened up with spiritual stones, took out the crystal core of the tier 7 demonic beast to refine into a grade 4 pill that would be beneficial to the advancement of a demonic beast's cultivation base. They couldn't help but feel a glimmer of hope igniting them. Only when her fire elemental energy reached peak phase sword monarch, then only a refined grade 4 spiritual stones. But if she used the purple gold spirit besides flame, the top 10 places in the semi-finals having she could still refine a grade 4 pill. The rankings in the top 500 have little effect. First, right? She didn't take out the crystal core of the snake demon to refine, but instead took the crystal core she obtained previously. It doesn't matter. Failing once, she just in case of any change in the next few days. Meow Meow also used the special effects of the ranking is within the top 400 tier 6. You can definitely enter the finals. As long as she took the rankings in the preliminary round and the semi-finals only determines whether you can advance or not and doesn't matter much in the following competitions. Time passed in the mountains quickly while cultivating. Although Lu Yen said with a smile, still thinking about the auction the identity jade but she also felt that it wasn't time to go get it. What? So she could only temporarily auction identity jade tablets. After cultivating in the mountains for more than 3 months, the cultivation bases of the two teams had all improved a lot. So I can sell some jade tablets. Bai and Yunzi Mo had successfully reached my ranking is 9 sword monarch using their talents as long as I can given by Lu Muyen. They could surely return to the Empire after the competition as long as the sword masters entered the top 10. They could choose let's hatch a plan to snatch the identity jade regardless of their ranking. So this also gave her a loophole. Yi Qin Han smiled lit up and said with a smile, let's hear your plan. Yeah. Since she said that, ranked in then she must have a plan in her mind. We can take out some jade tablets. We don't have to go find sword masters from other kingdoms as long as we keep ourselves in the top 400. Let's guard a stump. We can also exchange for a large amount of spiritual stones to participate in the auction. Replied. We killed 2 birds with 1 stone, then asked, there's no substantial difference between the 50th ranking and the 500th ranking in the semi-finals. After I advanced into the top 10 in the preliminary round, they could advance into the finals. Rewarded with various colored jade tablets. Lu Yan's method is excellent. Many people from the elite teams of superpower kingdoms and large kingdoms would be unreconciled. Why couldn't they come up with such a method to get take the initiative to find me and snatch my jade tablets? Thought about it for a bit and asked me of my qualifications to enter the finals. Will anyone want to buy the jade tablets? Well, spread the news that I'm at a certain place people who want it. And ITLL naturally brings when auctioning the red jade tablets and our might even be doubled only represent a small kingdom and medium kingdom. Plus our overall cultivation bases come and read on our website Wuxia World site. So when we encounter sword masters there were large red jade tablets they will definitely other jade tablets. So well just fight back. There must be many people who lack jade tablets of this color. The red jade tablets in our hands are even rarer than the purple jade had the least points. So they would definitely enter the huge amount by auctioning off hold 7 kinds of jade tablets. We have a lot of red jade tablets even simply because they have to. I believe there are still many sword masters who haven't collected all 7 colors of jade tablets. She was certain that each time they release news at a different location, out the jade tablets there would definitely be people who would take the initiative to deliver themselves to their door. A light flashed past That's a good idea. Eyes. The others' eyes lit up. Came from a clan in a large kingdom, the people who entered the semi-finals were basically all sword masters from large kingdoms and the spiritual stones of his clan with very few obtained small and medium-sized kingdoms. They didn't have mineral veins like other clans from large kingdoms were so also didn't have many targets for sword masters from large kingdoms to clear out of the competition for the red jade tablets. Then where do we go to auction the jade tablets? They believed that at this time, countless people had already started the auction for consignment. After all, there was little porridge and many people. let's go to the auction place.
There were
to
not
ask
even
first.
500 people holding red
I
jade
think that
tablets,
no other sword
and the
master had
organizer
ever
will use
auctioned
various
jade tablets
to make up for the shortage
so I
of
don't
jade
know if they'll
tablets,
accept it or not.
such as the top 10 in the preliminary round being rewarded with
Everyone
50
had
jade
hope in their
tablets
hearts
each.
and they followed Lu Mu Yen.
So although
all
the
in
quota
high
for the
spirits,
finals was
to the main
500,
hall where the
but there may
largest
not be
auction in the
500
central
people
city
entering
was
the
located.
finals.
The news
several
that they
people
left the
discussed
early was
countermeasures
also
in
spread to
detail,
the ears of
then
elite
left the
teams
mountain
from
together
various
to set up
kingdoms.
camp near the central city.
Elder brother,
guarding a
why
stump
did Lu
and
Mu
waiting for
Yen
hares
and
to
the
bump
others
into
go
it.
to the auction hall so
One
early?
an idiom meaning to trust
Luo
luck
only
will wait
ran to
idly for
Luo Yi
opportunities
as soon
to
as he
appear
heard the
themselves,
reports,
but is often used to
Nan
teach a
and
lesson
Helian
as it is
Lai were
derived
also
from
in
an
this
ancient
so
story,
they got together to
basically
discuss
saying
this.
that one cannot just trust in
Hearing
luck or
his
wait
words,
idly. Nan stood up
when
with a
it's
hint of
used,
interest in his
it's also
eyes and
often
said,
used when a
"Let's
person
go
has
take a
hatched
look
a
and
plan
see and well
beforehand."
know." So it sounds as if one
Sure,
is saying to
let's
wait
go.
idly and trust luck, but the person, in fact,
At the same
has already
time,
hatched
Yan
a plan to
Jun,
make chance and luck on their side,
and the others also
if that makes
received
sense.
the
XD.
news.
They
I
didn't
could be
know
wrong
Lu
in the
Mu
latter
Yen
half,
well enough,
since
but
my
they
only
knew her
exposure
temperament,
to the idiom
so they
is
left
through
the
drama
inn and
and
went to the
novels,
auction hall to find out. Such a situation
Chapter
was also occurring in
265.
many places
Initial
in the city.
results: Lu Mu Yen
When
and the
Lu Mu
others
Yen and her
cultivated in a
party
canyon
arrived
near
at the
the
central
auction
city,
hall,
waiting
there were
for the
also
fish
many
to be
sword
hooked on the
masters
bait,
waiting to entrust their items
Sure
for
enough,
auction.
after the spread of
The
information
waiter
from
immediately
so many
greeted
people,
them with a
their
smile.
news quickly spread to the ears
Young
of the
masters
elite
and
teams
young
of
misses,
various kingdoms.
please come in.
Leader,
Are you
we've
all
already
also
received
here to
news
entrust
about
auction
Lu Mu
items?
Yen.
Is the
Lu Mu
news
Yen
reliable?
smiled and asked, "Where's
Absolutely
the manager?"
reliable.
The waiter paused
She
for
and
a
the
bit,
two teams
his
from
expression
small kingdoms
unchanged,
are staying in
then
Reed
replied
Wind
with a
Grand
smile,
Canyon.
"The manager is
Go
dealing
and
with
assemble
things
the
right
people
now.
to set off quickly.
If
Better
young
not
Miss
let
wants to
others
auction
snatch the
something,
jade
you can
tablets
just
first.
hand it to me."
Yes.
If you want to appraise the value
Such
of an
conversations
item, then you can
resounded
go
in
to
various
various
places
places
within
and outside the city.
The manager was so busy.
In the private
so how
room
could he
of
receive
Stream
these
Reflection
participating
Restaurant?
sword masters one by one?
Luoli repeated the news he had obtained to the rest,
didn't even
then
have
looked
such
at
power
Luo Yi
to
with a
arrange
slightly
that.
worried look.
Elder
Lu
brother,
Mu Yen
so
also
many
knew
people
that
want
she was
Lu Mu
making
Yan's
things
jade
difficult for him,
tablets,
so
why
she
don't we
handed
also
over a
go to the
silver
Grand
token from
Canyon
her
to
into her
help her?
spatial thing. This is the
Si
Ming
Nan's
Alliance
team had
token
just
of your
returned
Chamber
from
of
outside
Commerce.
the city,
and they came to the
over to your
restaurant together
manager.
after
I
meeting
believe he will
Luoli.
naturally come see me.
There was also worry in
When
his
the
eyes.
attendant
saw the silver token,
No need.
he took it
If we
carefully
go,
and said
we'll
respectfully,
only cause trouble.
"Young miss, please wait a
Luo
moment."
Yi
said lightly,
"He'll
playing
go
with
find
the
the
moonlight cup
manager
in his
immediately."
Luoli
This was the
furrowed
silver
his
level
brows.
distinguished
How
guest
could it be
token of the
causing
Ming
trouble?
Chamber of Commerce Alliance,
She purposefully
which
lured
made
those
the
people
attendant
there.
tremble.
If
He
we
quickly
go and
ran
scare
to
them
the
away,
second floor
you
to
better
call the
be careful
manager.
not to get beaten by her.
Meanwhile,
Lu Mu
Luo
Yan's
Yi
act
said
of taking out
slowly.
the silver Ming Alliance
Luo
token
Li was
also
startled
shocked
for a
the
moment,
people present.
then the corners of his lips
Even Yi
twitched.
Qin Han, sure
If he
phone,
really ruined
and the
that
others
woman's
revealed
plans,
surprise in
then
their
he
eyes.
might really be beaten.
Luoli and the
Elder
others
brother,
who had just
you
entered
mean
the
that
hall
she deliberately
also took in
lured
the
those
scene
people
just
there?
now, and the shock in their
Why
hearts
did
was
she
no
do
less
this?
than others. Luoli
Even
asked. Elite pupils of
Si Nan
superpower
looked at him
kingdoms
with a
didn't
urinated
have the
gaze.
distinguished
Lu
guest
Mu
tokens
Yen,
of the Ming
that
Chamber
little
of
fox,
Commerce Alliance.
definitely wants to lead those people
How did
to come
Lu
to her
Mu
door
Yen
to
get
send her their
recognized
jade
by the Ming
tablets?
Chamber of Commerce Alliance?
After listening to Luo Yi's
no one
words,
suspected
he
that
also
Lu Mu Yan's
understood.
token was fake or
With
obtained
Lu
from
Mu
other
Yan's
places.
intelligence, how is
After
it possible for
each
everyone
token
to
of the
know
Ming
where she was
Chamber of
hiding?
Commerce Alliance had an
He
identity
couldn't think
or
of any other
verification,
purpose other than to
and other
snatch
people
jade
couldn't use it at
tablets.
all. Luo Yi reached out his hand
you
and
actually
patted
have
his
the
younger
silver
brother's shoulder.
distinguished guest
You're
token of the
confused in
Ming
your
Chamber
worry.
of Commerce Alliance.
Lu Mu Yan had so many different
walked over
color
and
jade
looked at her,
tablets in her
his
hands,
gaze
filled with surprise. Those people of the elite teams from large and middle kingdoms didn't dare provoke them, but they dared to
Chapter
snatch her.
272.
Even
Silver
if those
Ming
people
Alliance
realized
token,
that she was
Lu Mu
releasing the
Yen,
news on
you
purpose,
actually have the
they
silver
still wouldn't give
distinguished
up the
guest
idea
token
of
of
the
robbing
Ming
her.
Chamber of Commerce Alliance.
Then why don't we go and take a look?
Lu Mu Yan turned around
If there
and
are
saw
too many
Luo Li's
people,
handsome,
we can go
bright
snatch some
smile
along
on his
the way.
face, as if the sun in
Luo Li
winter
and
that could
Lu Mu
shine
Yen
into
had
one's
been
heart.
separated for several months
Is there
already,
anything special
and a
about the
feeling of
silver Ming
longing that he had
Alliance
never
token
felt before rose in his heart.
She actually didn't know anything
Luo
about
Yi
the Ming
sighed.
Alliance token. Younger brother was
Luo
really
Li
sinking in
smiled and
deeper
said,
and deeper.
"The Ming Chamber of Commerce
Alright,
Alliance
as you
has
like.
3 types of Ming Alliance
See,
tokens.
Nan also wanted
that
to
is
see
bronze,
what tricks Lu Mu
silver,
Yan wanted
and
to
gold.
play.
So he decided to follow
bronze-colored
them
tokens
secretly.
are
Distinguished guest tokens. The
Helly
silver
and
tokens
Lai,
are high-level
Yan Jun,
distinguished
and
guest
Imo Ling
tokens,
also shared
and
the
the
same
golden
thoughts
tokens
as
are
them.
top-level distinguished
On that
guest
day,
tokens.
Lu Mu Yan and
A
the several
sword
others
master
were
with a silver
cultivating when
distinguished
suddenly
guest token
an
who auctions
unfamiliar
items
elemental
or buys
energy
items in
fluctuations
stores
under
under the
the
Ming
calm of the
Chamber of
canyon.
Commerce Alliance not only
They're
can get a
here.
5% discount of the
Lu
total
Mu Yan
value,
opened
but
her
when their
eyes
cultivation
and said
base
with a
reaches a
smile.
certain level, they can
Yi
also
Qing
receive
Han
an
and the others
invitation
were
to a
also
secret
looking
realm.
forward to this.
And it seemed that they were
secret
exceptionally
realm.
eager for it.
having
Lu
long been
Muyen
prepared.
asked with a raised eyebrow.
Come and read on our website.
There are
Wuxia
countless
World
mysterious
site.
and secret places
Thanks
on
their plan was
Tianling
very
continent.
successful.
Not anyone can
expected,
enter. Two elite teams from large
certain
kingdoms
means and
arrived
power
and
to
entered
open
Lu
it.
Muyen's soul disorienting
In addition to
array.
the 6 major sects who
She
have
had
such
now
strength,
been promoted to
only
advanced
a few
phase
top
sword
forces
monarch.
on this continent
Her
can do
spiritual
it.
energy was even more
Lu only
dense,
paused
and she
said,
could also
although
set up
secret
great
realms
3
are
arrays to
accompanied by
besiege
danger,
and confuse
but
enemies.
the harvest is definitely worth taking
Arrays
the risk
were also
for.
divided into grades on
However,
this continent.
such an
From
opportunity
grade 1 to
isn't
grade
available
9.
to just anyone.
Array Masters
I heard that the
grade 4
silver
and above were
distinguished
all
guest
targets
tokens
to win
issued
over
by
the
the
various
Chamber of
forces in
Commerce
this world,
Alliance wanted
and
exceptionally
exceptionally
rare.
rare.
So
In the
that's why you
soul-disorienting
almost blinded
array,
our eyes
those
with
sword
the silver
masters would
distinguished
lose their
guest
senses
token
for
in
an
your
incense
hand.
stick of time.
And in the
Nan
array,
leaned over with his
Lu
handsome
Muyen
face
also
and
incorporated
smiled
Meow Meow's
frivolously.
venomous gas,
Lu
making them
Muyen
move
rolled
very
her eyes
slowly.
at him. Doesn't matter if
Soon
you
the
don't have
jade
those
tablets
eyes.
of the previous groups of people
Her
were
face
easily
didn't
removed
change,
by them,
but she was
and they
pondering
hardly
inwardly.
used much combat power.
Thinking about it over and
Mu
over
Yen,
again,
your method
she
of
felt that
guarding
it was
a stump and
impossible for
waiting for
Elder
Yi
Yi
to
to
give
bump
her a
into it
token
is
of this
very
level.
useful.
This silver distinguished
said
guest
after
token
taking
must
off
have
the
been
jade
given to
tablet
Elder
of the
Yi by
last
that
opponent's
guy,
sword
Ming
master,
Shou, to give to her.
Lu Muyen said with a smile.
Nan was stunned
It
for
was
a
they
moment,
who acted
then
greedy
looked
first.
aggrieved and blinked
We
his
just
phoenix-type
fought back.
eyes. If I'm blind,
They lured those
how
people
can I
into the soul
appreciate beauties
disorienting
then,
array,
especially a
then
little
after
beauty
they were
like
caught
you?
in Meow Meow's venomous
You
gas,
have no face
they
and
moved
skin,
slowly,
allowing them
Lu
to enter
Muyen
into the
rolled
array
her
to
eyes
snatch
at him
jade
again in
tablets.
amusement.
However,
Before
she
Nan
could
answer,
kill.
he saw a slick-looking
After
middle-aged
snatching
man
the jade
come down from the
tablets,
second
they
floor,
didn't hurt or
led by
kill
the
anyone,
attendant,
only
Lu
waiting for
Muyen.
them to be automatically
Young
teleported
Miss
out of
Lu,
the competition
please don't
space.
take offense for
Then
being
they continued
neglected.
to lure the second wave of
Let
people
us talk
in.
upstairs.
We obtained a lot
The
of jade
manager was
tablets
very
today.
sincere.
This is indeed much faster than us taking the initiative to
guest
attack.
tokens had everyone's identity
Yun
or a
Lan
verification.
said with a smile.
So the Ming Chamber of Commerce
Lu
Alliance
Muyen
could
nodded.
use special means to identify
More
the
people
identity
will
of the
eventually
person
come
who bore the
too.
token.
Inside the
Then I
central
will trouble
castle
manager.
The elders
Lu
of the 6
Muyen
major
smiled
sects couldn't
politely.
help holding their foreheads
Seeing
when they
that
watched
Lu
Li and the
Muyen
others
lure
were
their
all
enemies
curious
into the depths
she
of
said
their
to
arrays.
them, if you want to listen,
How
just
did this
follow.
girl's brain grow?
The
She
fact
could even
that she was
think of
going to
such an
auction the
idea.
identified jade tablets
Did she
would
get
soon be
inspiration
known to
from
the
when she
public.
was besieging the beast tides?
It wasn't bad to let Luoli,
This way of guarding a
Nan,
stump
and the
and
others
waiting
come
for
as
hairs
free
to bump
labor
into
and
it is
deterrent.
fast, accurate and
When the
ruthless.
two heard it, their eyes lit
The
up
elder
and
of
they
the
followed
sword
sect
Lu
revealed
Muyen to
some
the second
admiration
floor
in his
eagerly.
eyes. The manager
The
took them
eyes
to
of
a
the
private
strong
room
and
on the
sturdy
second
elder of
floor,
the 8
and
extreme
after they
sect
sat
lit up
down,
brightly,
he ordered
it's more
tea
than
to be
good.
served. This
I
was
wonder
simply
what
too
young
good.
Miss Lu needs us to do.
If he wasn't mistaken,
The manager
Lu
asked
Muyen
with a
arranged
smile.
a grade 3 array.
Lu Muyen held a silver distinguished
Such
guest
talent
token,
would even be
so she
comparable to
enjoyed
the
a lot
older
of
pupils who had
privileges.
cultivated arrays for
As
many
long as
years
the
from
Ming
their
Chamber
8
of
Extreme
Commerce
sect.
Alliance could do it.
The
Then,
other people
under
glanced at
general
the excited 8
circumstances,
Extreme
the requirements
sect elder
must
was
be
disdain.
met.
Even
Lu
if he's that
Muyen took a
excited,
sip of tea
she
and
still
said
wouldn't go
lightly,
to their 8
I
Extreme
want to borrow
sect.
the venue to hold a small
Although
auction
they
before
used
your
tricks,
auction starts.
but they didn't snatch the
I
interspatial
only
rings
need
of the
2
loser or
hours.
cause any massacres.
After hearing her words,
their hearts
everyone
and
looked at
temperaments
her
are
in
indeed
daze.
rare.
The medicine and the
sect's
others
elder
were
smiled
puzzled.
kindly, and his
Didn't they agree
satisfaction
to
with
ask
Lu
people from the
Muyen's
Ming
sword.
Chamber of Commerce Alliance
The
to
elder
help
of the
them
Beast
auction it?
Tamers sect nodded and
However,
said,
she is
couldn't
indeed
compare
a
to
good
Lu
seedling.
Muyen's shrewdness.
Not
So they
only
would
Lu
support
Muyen,
everything she did,
but also Yi Qing Han.
I wonder what
Lu
young
Mu
Miss
Bai
Lu
and
wants
Yun
to auction.
ZMO are very good.
If there is any spiritual
already
item to be
chosen Yi
auctioned,
Qing Han.
it can be auctioned off by
If
our
he could
Ming
reach
Chamber
the
of
top
Commerce
100,
Alliance, he would let him directly enter
You
as an
are a
outer core
high-level
pupil.
distinguished guest,
Lu
and we
Mu
will
Bai
only
and
charge
Yun
half of the
ZMO had
intermediate
good
fee.
talents and temperaments.
The manager was very
unfortunately,
curious
they
about
didn't
what
have
Lu
the
Muyen
expertise
wanted
in
to
taming
do.
beasts.
Lu
But that
Muyen's
was
name
fine
had
too.
long spread
It was
throughout
only
the
right to
cities
net
in the
them all
competition
in since they're
space.
good seedlings.
They had also heard
Although
a lot
the
about
6
her,
major
and now
sects
she
each
had
had
one
silver
profession
token
that was
too,
particularly
so that's why he
outstanding.
was so
But within
polite
their
to her.
sect, they also
Come
had
and
other
read on our
cultivation
website,
options.
Wuxia World site. For example,
Thanks,
the beast
I
taming
want to
section
auction the
also had
identity
branch
jade
departments
tablets
in
needed in the
arrays, alchemy,
semifinals.
and smithing,
Lu
among which
Muyen
there were many
many
well-qualified pupils.
Pu
Yunzi Mo's path of the sword is righteous and in line with our sword
auction
sect.
identity jade tablets.
If he can enter the finals,
you sure
then
have
we
ideas.
won't be humble and will accept him.
Hellion Lie's lips
The
couldn't
elder of
resist
the sword
twitching.
sect said. This woman must
Hearing
be
him
crazy
say
for
that,
money.
the other elders weren't
Could it be that
disapproving.
extorting the second prince
The
gave her
sword
the
sect like
inspiration to
Yunzi
continue
Mo.
extorting others?
Then if Yunzi Mo
The
really
manager
went,
was stunned for
they
a
didn't
moment,
lose
then
much
said
either.
in amusement,
Unlike them
young Miss
contending for Lu Mu Yan.
Are you sure you want to auction
Our
identity
heavenly
jade
secret
tablets?
palace wants that boy.
This is
Lu
something
Mu
used to
Bai.
participate in the
The
competition.
wise-looking elder from the Heavenly
Sure.
Secrets Palace said with a
Lu
smile.
Mu Yan nodded.
There's
was
no
just that the
requirement in
others
the
didn't
rules of
agree
the
with his
competition
words.
that jade tablets obtained
Lu
must be
Mubai
from
was
snatching
Lu
right.
Muyan's elder brother.
There's no prohibition
It
on
might
buying
affect
and
Lu
selling,
Muyan's
so I'm not
choice.
violating the rules of the
When the time
competition if I
came,
sell them.
they would definitely have to fight
She
for
bluntly
him,
expressed
not to
her
mention
thoughts.
that Lu Mubei's talent and potential also deserved their attention.
It was better to put such things out
Let's
in the
see how
light.
the dark horse named Shu
Others
Han
had
is
deep
doing.
creases on their foreheads.
The elder of the vast mountain
Was it
sect
really
suggested
alright
with
for
a
you to
smile
take
of
advantage
interest.
of this loophole and be
The
known by
elders
the
of the other
organizers?
sects also revealed interest.
That's true.
Apart from
Ultimately,
Lu Muyan
the
this
manager
time,
was an
Chu
elite of the
Han was
Ming
also
Chamber
the
of
dark
Commerce
horse
they
they
wanted to compete
and
for.
he had no shortage of business
The elders
acumen.
of the 6 major sects
At
had
this
already
moment,
begun
he
to
was
discuss
also
the
a
home
little
of the
interested.
pupils, while Lu Muyan
However,
and the others
although
ushered
Lu
in a
Muyan
new
dared
enemy.
to do this business,
But their Chamber of Commerce couldn't make this sort of
Chapter
money.
266.
Don't worry,
Prepare to
he'll
gang
pay
up on
you
this
for the
day.
2-hour rented
Another wave
venue.
of people were trapped in Lu
Seeing
Muyan's
that the manager
array.
hesitated, she
This
added,
is the soul disorienting
if
array.
she didn't have the Ming Chamber
The
of
leader of
Commerce
this
alliance
elite
to
team
help
said
auction
cautiously.
it, she could save a large
One
amount
of the men
intermediate
furrowed
fees.
his brows and said,
In
I
addition,
only saw her
Luo
fire
Li
array
and the
before,
others took the
who would have
initiative to
expected
join
that
in
she
his
would know
labors,
other arrays.
so she'd be a fool not to
The
use
leader
them.
of the team
That's why she
sneered.
changed her
Since she's
original
extremely
intention.
talented in arrays,
There is no
it's
need to pay
naturally
the venue
impossible
fee.
for her to only know one type
You
of
are our
array.
silver token high-level
Then what do we
distinguished
do?
guest.
Fortunately,
I can still give
Luo
you this
Yi
convenience.
and the others didn't continue to follow
The
her,
manager replied
otherwise
with a
it'd be even
smile
more
without
troublesome.
hesitation.
The man said
Lu
irritably,
Muyan having the silver token
he was
meant
the
that
one
her
who
backing
proposed
was
to go
definitely
snatch Lu
extraordinary,
Muyan's
and there
jade
were probably
tablets.
some secrets.
If
but
something
he didn't
went
dare
wrong,
investigate.
the second prince would
As far
definitely
as he
blame
knew,
him.
even strong
Lu
sword
Muyan
venerable
stood outside the
powerhouses on
array,
Tianling
observing the
may not even
situation
have
in
a
the soul
bronze
disorienting
token,
array,
let alone a special silver
when
token.
she saw the person speaking,
Since Lu
her eyes
Muyan had
narrowed
this ability,
dangerously.
then he naturally wouldn't
It
miss
seemed that
this
this
chance
elite
to make
team
good
from
friends
the
with her
kingdom
just
was
because
being
of some
instigated by
petty
Luo
profits.
Qinghe. No matter whether
How
it
could
was
there be
useful
no
or
reason
not,
to
there was
eliminate
nothing
such a
wrong
low
with
life
showing
when
goodwill.
he sent himself to her door?
Lu Muyan knew
What's
his
the hurry?
intentions and didn't reject his
Don't
kindness.
forget that the
Then
second
I think
prince
the
is
manager
also an
greatly.
array master.
I wonder your
The
surname
older man
is.
behind Luo Qinghe
This one is
reprimanded.
Jiang Kong. He was
The
extremely
smile on the
disgusted
manager's
with Luo
face was more
Qinghe.
sincere.
He was a pupil of a branch of the
ability
Luo clan
to
who they
obtain the
spent a
silver
lot of
token
resources
must mean
to
she had a
support,
deep relationship
and he was
with
fortunate
some,
enough to
or a
follow
certain
Luo
high
Yi
level
and Luo Li
executive
as a
of the
god,
Ming Chamber
yet
of
he
Commerce
actually
Alliance.
rebelled. Who
If she
knew
said
what
a
the
few
second
good
prince
words
was
about
thinking
him,
to accept
then he
such
had
a
hoped
low
to be
life.
transferred back to the headquarters.
Luo Qinghe glanced at
Then
the
I
man
trouble
and
manager
snorted
Jiang
inwardly.
to arrange it for us now.
When he's become important to the
Lu
second
Muyan
prince,
smiled.
this person would be the first person
Manager
he'd get rid
Jiang
of.
nodded and ordered a few things to
seven
the
of you,
attendant.
go
Then
stand in
personally
those
took Lu
positions
Muyan
each.
and the others to the auction
Take this
venue
with
in the
you.
lobby on the first floor.
When I say begin,
Luo
channel
Li,
your elemental energies
Sinan,
together.
Heli and Lai.
The second prince
It's
handed
time for you
7
to all
black
come to
stones into the
use.
hands of the several people
Lu
and pointed in
Muyan's
several
eyes were
directions
curved
as
and
he
looked
ordered.
at the three with a big grin.
Ancient Chinese compass.
Luo Li had a
often
smile
used for
in his
feng
eyes,
shui related
and he was
things
very
in modern
happy to
day,
be
I
able to
think.
help Lu Muyan.
Yes.
Go ahead and order us.
The 7 people took
Sinan
the
and
stones
Heli
and
and Lai
immediately
glanced at
stood
each
where
other,
the second
cursing
prince pointed.
Luo Li inwardly.
The second prince
We can
himself
help.
held a compass and looked
But there's a
around for a
condition.
breakthrough point gravely.
Sinan leaned
Only
over
when
and
he entered
smiled
the array
affectionately
did he discover that it was
Lu
actually a
Muyan
grade
raised
3
an
soul
eyebrow and
disorienting
asked,
array.
Tell me.
Even as a grade 3
Sinan,
array
this
master,
fox,
he
wasn't
wasn't
a
a
simple
simple
little
little
cat
cat
like
like Luo Li.
If it
And she
weren't that
guessed
he
that
had
he
the
probably
array-breaking
wanted to sell
talisman
identity
from
jade
Master,
tablets too.
he
He really didn't dare to be careless.
Outside
As
the
Lu
array,
Muyan expected,
Yi Han and the
Sinan's
others
next
saw that
sentence
the
was,
several people
we
were
also
different
have
from the
extra
others.
identity jade tablets.
Not only did they not
How
panic
about we
nor
borrow
run
little
around,
Bowtie Slight
but
and
instead they
auction them
calmly
together.
began to break the array.
He asked with furrowed brows, Muyan, do you think they can
Chapter
break the array you set
273.
up? Lu Muyan's auction
Should be
Heli
able
and
to.
Lai was also interested by the conditions proposed by
Muyan
Sinan.
stared at the compass in the second
Lu
prince's
Muyan
hand.
must have
He's
figured
holding
out
a
a high-level
high-level
array
array
breaking
breaking
tool,
this,
which should have been bestowed
Lu
by a
Muyan
senior.
looked at Sinan
He
and Heli and
probably
Lai
also
with a
knows
smile
that
that
wasn't
means,
quite a smile and said
he's the
slowly,
second prince of
sure.
Rongsa Kingdom.
When we finish
His
our
master
auction,
is a grade
we'll sell
4 array
yours,
master.
but it'll take 1/10 of your
Mu Yi
auction
said.
prices as venue fee and
Lu
commission
Muyan
fee.
thought about it and asked,
The corners
Is
of
this second
Sinan's
prince at
lips
odds
twitched.
with Luo Yi's
Didn't
team?
manager Jiang not charge
The
venue
second
fees?
prince's wife used to chase
That's
after
what I
Luo
got
with the Silver Ming Alliance token. Then her clan forced her to marry for connections to the
go
second
to another
prince.
venue for auction.
Mui paused, then added, rolled her eyes. I heard that the relationship between the two wasn't good after they got married. There are many people who want to help. The second prince also often finds trouble for Luoli. Hellion
no
Lai
longer a
decisively
secret
chose
that when
to
the
make
two
the
meet,
deal.
they get into a fight.
Earning each bit counts.
Lu Mu Yen said with
Either
amusement.
way,
So it turns out that the wild
high.
little cat also has women
Sinan
pursue him
finally
crazily.
saw the speed at which this woman
several
flipped
people's
face.
eyelids couldn't resist jumping when they heard how she addressed Luoli. Luoli was
It
a
wasn't that
well-known
he
little
couldn't bear
overlord
the
of Rome's
spiritual
kingdom.
stones.
His identity
just
was
wanted to
comparable
tease
to a
her to
prince of
begin
the
with.
royal family, and his
Then why
own
don't you
talent
hurry
and
up
strength
and
was
go
also
recruit
very
customers?
strong, so he could
We
naturally
only have
attract
2
countless
hours.
women to pursue him.
Lu Mu Yen
Even
turned
the
around
second
and
prince
looked at the
wouldn't
several
dare to give
people
him
fiercely,
huge trouble,
as if they were going to be
Only
beaten by
Lu
her
Mu
if they
Yen
were
would
any
dare
slower.
to treat Luoli like that.
Under Lu Mu Yan's sharp
Most
gaze,
importantly was that
Sinan
Luoli
and the others
obviously
ran
had the
right out of the
tendency
auction
a
hall with
masochist.
their tails between their legs
It was
and
probable
ordered their
that even if
subordinates
Lu
to
Mu
go
Yen
and spread
beat
the
him,
news of the
had
auction.
endure it with a smile.
In only a bit,
Boom,
the
boom.
sword masters in the entire central
Suddenly,
city
a
knew
few
that
dark
someone was
clouds
holding a
floated
small
over in the
auction in the
sky,
auction
and
hall
a
of the
few
Ming
lightning
Chamber of
bolts
Commerce
landed from
Alliance.
above.
And the auction items
Come and
were
read on
actually
our
the
website
identity
which tablets
tablets
required for the semifinals to enter the
prepare
finals.
to fight.
After hearing
Seeing
this
that
news,
after the second
many
prince
sword
took out a red
masters who didn't
talisman
enter
and
the top
released it,
500 with
it
their
attracted
points,
thunder and
or
lightning
those
to break
who were in
the
the top
array.
500
Lu
but
Mu
hadn't
Yen knew
collected
that
the
all 7 colors in
soul-disorienting
array
jade
would soon
tablets,
fail.
instantly
Those that
caused
have
a commotion
spirit
and
pets,
rushed to the
release
auction
them.
hall to see whether
We're
this
gonna
was true
gang
or
up.
not. Since
In
the
the
last
courtyard of
time
an
she
inn,
beat
a black
Chi
using a
man
gang
with
fight,
outstanding
she had
temperament
fallen
was
in
playing
love
a game
this
of
crude
chess
way.
against himself. One was a fool
Fourth
if they had
prince,
spirit
there's a
pets
piece
and
of
didn't
news
use them.
you'd definitely be interested
After
in.
speaking, she released
One of the
Miao
elite
Miao
team
and
members
Bing Ji
hurried
to
in
turn
and
into their
said,
original forms and wait,
Ji Xian
while
didn't
Shuai
reply
turned into a
immediately,
golden seed and
and
fell
after
to the
dropping
ground,
the last
waiting
black
chess
chess
piece
piece
in his hand did he raise his head
seven
and ask,
people's lips
what
twitched.
news? They found that Lu Mu Yen was growing
and the
more
others
and
are
more
holding
violent.
a small auction before the
Was
large
this really
auction
good?
at the Ming Chamber of Commerce
However,
Alliance's
they
hall
didn't think
and is
too
about
much.
to start.
Everyone
The man
released
said
their
with
spirit
great
interest,
interest,
and the lowest was
holding
middle
a
phase
small
tier
auction.
6. What do they
Many
want to
were
do?
also subdued and contracted
Ji
with Lu
Xian
Mu
took out
Yan's
a
help.
silk handkerchief and wiped
When
his
Lu Mu
hands.
Bei's mountain moving beast came
Auctioning
out of
the
the
identity
spirit beast
jade
ring,
tablets
he
needed
wanted
to
to
enter
show
the
off
finals.
his might.
But when his
The
gaze
man
accidentally
replied with a
landed on Lu
smile.
Mu Yen, his might
Ji
instantly
Xian
withered
raised
a
an
lot.
eyebrow.
Then after
Oh.
pondering, he chuckled.
Late phase
She
tier
sure
7
is bold.
already.
Is
Lu
she
Mu
doing this to
Yen
provoke
looked at
the
the
large
authority
and
of the
tall mountain moving
organizers?
beast with a nitpicky gaze? The
Will she
mountain
be
moving
punished?
beast was a little apprehensive
A person
about
who
this little
sat
abnormal
beside Ji
monster,
Xian asked.
but he couldn't weaken the might
The
and aura of a
organizers have
demonic
never
beast.
stipulated that the trading of
He
identity
toughened his
jade
head and
tablets
glared at
wasn't
Lu Mu
allowed,
Yen, saying,
It can
"This
be
is because
considered
my
taking
talent is
advantage of a
extraordinary,
loophole.
and at most
Didn't this
ITLL
damned
be banned
woman
in the
look down
future,
on him even
but
back
she
then?
definitely made a profit this
If it
time.
wasn't for my elder brother's light,
Ji Xian
do you
himself
think you
would
could
have
also a
advanced
person
so
who liked
quickly?
to calculate?
But
Lu
who knew
Mu
that Lu
Yen
Mu
rolled
Yen
her
was
eyes
even
at
more
him.
scheming than him?
That sky-ranked
Selling
skill that
identity
Lu Mu
jade
Bai had
tablets
couldn't
was
only
only a
nourish
matter
the
of
blood
learning not
spirit to
losing,
battle,
without
but it
even
could
needing
also
to pay the
improve the
cost
innate
price.
physique of spirit pets through their
How did she come
bloodline.
up with it using her little brain?
This mountain-moving beast got
Let's
a bargain.
join in the fun. That's because
Ji
my owners
Xian stood up
amazing.
and went out, and
The
the others
mountain-moving
quickly
beast
followed.
had now sincerely
They
surrendered
were also
to Lu Mu
curious
Bai,
about the
so
auctioning
he
of the
revealed the
identity
proud
jade
look.
tablets.
Inwardly,
At the same
he was
time,
also grateful
Yan
to Lu
Jun
Mu
and
Yen.
Mo Ling were negotiating
If it
a
weren't
deal
for
in the
this
private
woman,
room of the
he wouldn't
Stream
have met
Reflection
such a good
restaurant.
owner either. Just as they
Seeing
finished,
that he was
they
completely,
heard a series of
willingly
knocks on the
submissive
door.
now.
Lu Mu Yen
What's the
was
matter?
quite satisfied. Yan Jun let
She
the
took
person
out a
in
bottle
and
of
asked,
pills and threw it over.
"Master,
Hurry up and
Lu
improve
Mu
your
Yen,
strength.
together
You better
with
not
Sinan
humiliate
and the
my
others,
elder brother's
are holding a
reputation."
small auction in the hall
Lu
of the
Mu
Ming
Bai
Chamber
looked
of
at her in
Commerce
amusement.
Alliance. The
Shall we
pampering
go
in his
and have a
eyes
look?
couldn't be concealed at all.
Lu Mu Yen cured
In
Yan
fact,
Jun's
the
illness,
talent of
and
the
they were very
mountain-moving
grateful
beast
for
was
it.
really very
so they were a
good,
little more
especially
concerned
his
about her
defensive
affairs.
ability that was rather powerful.
Auction.
The
Just what
mountain-moving
wicked
beast
ideas
huffed,
has she come up
then
with this
took the
time?
bottles. Yan
But when he
Jun's
only just
unparalleled
opened
face
it,
revealed
his eyes
slight
were
interest.
practically
glued to it.
Lu Mu Yen,
Then he
that
immediately
woman,
poured
really
out one
could
and
cause
gobbled it up
situations
wherever
wherever
she
she
went.
Good stuff.
Interesting. Do you have any
Come
more?
and read on our website.
Give me
Wuxia
some
World
more.
site.
The
Thanks,
mountain-moving
Mo
beast
Ling was
looked also very curious about what Lu Mu Yan wanted to do this time. Even the other people's demonic beasts stared at the pill bottle on the big hands of the mountain-moving beast. So she borrowed the auction venue of the Ming Chamber of Commerce Alliance to hold a small auction. They knew that the pill was beneficial to improving their cultivation base. The venues of the Ming Chamber of Commerce Alliance aren't rented out. You want pills? How did she do it? Well, talk about it when you perform. I heard that she has a Ming Alliance token. The skin of this mountain-moving beast was indeed as thick as his stone skin. The person who reported it scratched his head and said, Meow and Bing Ji were in a rare moment of unification, Ming Alliance token, glaring fiercely at the mountain-moving beast. Yan Jun was puzzled. Then after drinking the pills that owner had prepared for them, he suggested, this ugly monster really had thick skin. He sure wanted to see what tricks rolled his eyes and quickly put away the pill bottle was playing. There were still 2 pills in it.
It was the first time he heard that things like the identity jade tablets that were staring at his pills like wolves and tigers.
Sure.
Listen carefully.
was also somewhat interested
if anyone
in
can
Lu
snatch a
Yan.
purple jade
The
tablet
news
from a
that
human
Lu
sword
Yan was
master
going
in the
to auction
array
identity
for
jade
each
tablets was
will
widely
reward
spread,
you with one
and
such
in only
pill.
a moment, many people
the more
gathered
you
in
can
the auction
snatch,
hall.
the more pills.
Seeing that the time and
Don't
number
miss
of
out
people
on
were
such a
about right,
chance.
Lu Yan walked up the auction
swept
stage
over
with
the
a
more
light
than a
smile
dozen
on her
demonic
face,
beasts
her
present
figure
with her
elegant
eyes
and
pleasing to the
encouraged.
eye.
When a high
I believe you
reward
have
was
heard the
offered,
news and
brave
know of
men
men
would
going to
come
auction
forward
today.
It was
Seeing
also
the
time
fiery
for these
eyes of
demonic
many
beasts
people
to
below,
gain some
she
experience.
said with a smile, exactly.
When the other demonic
What we are
beasts
auctioning
saw the
now
mountain
is the
moving
key
beast
to
put
entering
away
the
the
finals.
pills,
Their
identity
eyes were
jade
filled with
tablets.
envy and jealousy.
So when they heard Lu
With a
Yan
beckon of
say
her
this,
hand,
they all
Sinan
stared
and
fixedly at the
Lu
sword
walked out
masters
with
that
2
were about to
plates,
break the
causing
array as if
everyone
they were
below
given a
to be
stimulant.
startled.
Lu
Yan
Yan
lifted the red
rose in an
cloth on the
arc.
tray and the identity
She
jade
sure was
tablets
somewhat
of 7
expected
different
to see
colors
these
lined up on
demonic
it
beasts
instantly
show their
attracted the
might.
attention of those present.
One a Chinese idiom
Young Miss
meaning
Lu,
precisely that.
how do you sell these jade tablets?
There will always be people willing to do
Someone
difficult
below
work
asked
if there is a
impatiently.
reward. His points ranking had already advanced into the top 500,
Chapter 267,
but unfortunately he was
ganging
just
up is
missing
just
a
that
yellow
powerful
jade tablet.
Boom.
He was
With the
originally rather
array-breaking
anxious,
talisman in the hands
wondering
of
how
the
to
second
obtain a
prince
yellow
wearing
jade
7-colored
tablet to keep his
thunderclouds
place
to
in the
constantly
finals,
bombard the
and didn't
array.
expect that
The
it could be
great
bought with money now.
soul-disorienting array
So
that
how
Lu
could he not
Yan
be
arranged was
excited?
broken in a short while.
All 7 colors of jade
However,
tablets
the
have the
several
same
people in the
starting
array
price.
were also a little rugged.
The auction will start with the
They
purple
were not
jade
only
tablets,
affected by the lightning
with the starting
strike,
price of
but
10,000
also because of Meow
spiritual
Meow's
stones.
poisonous fog. Their
The
movements
highest
became
bidder
groggy.
wins.
As
Lu
soon as the
Yan
array
then
was
announced
broken,
the auction
the second
price
prince
following
came
the
out
person's
first.
question. He was
What?
not affected because he had a
10,000
high-level array-breaking
spiritual
magic
stones.
tool in hand, and
What
he also
there?
had a
This
treasure
is
that could
robbing
avoid
people.
poisoning on him.
Isn't this cheating
You're
us?
Lu Yan.
10,000 spiritual
He
stones.
saw the beautiful
so
woman
expensive.
standing among the group of people
As
and
soon as her
demonic
voice
beasts
fell,
at a glance.
there was a commotion.
She wore a
Basically
light
all
purple dress
disagreeing
that
with the
wrapped her
price.
elegant body.
Her
Even
facial
Yan
features
Jun
were
and Ji
exquisite.
Xian,
Her
who
skin
was sitting in the
seemingly
very
so
back
bouncy
row,
that it
couldn't
pop,
help but hold
and
their
although not
foreheads.
deliberate nor conscious of it,
Was she
but her
growing the
body
habit of
exuded
cheating
an
foolish
otherworldly
temperament?
now.
No
She
wonder
even
even
dared
that
to
rash
ask for the
fellow
starting
Lu
price
would
of
be so
10,000
enchanted by
spiritual
Lu
stones
Yan.
for one identity jade
Even
tablet.
when he saw her, he
But
couldn't
why
resist
did they think
but
that
want
the
to take
final
her into
price
his
of these
Imperial
jade
harem?
tablets would definitely be
Lu
unexpected?
Yan replied lightly.
Lu Yan didn't stop them
What do you
immediately
plan on doing?
and waited for those below
Why
to
did
have
these
discussed
people
a while
always like
before
to ask
casting a
whether
look
she
at
was
Sinan,
Yan or not
person
every
who's super
time?
gaudy? Are you
It
still
really
going
was
to step up or
annoying
not?
when they
knew the answer.
When Sinan
Hand
received
over
the
the
look in
jade
her
tablets
eyes,
on you,
he knew
and
there
I
was
won't trouble
nothing
you.
good to come from it.
But
The
since he
second
had something
prince
to
said as he
request of
patted
her,
his
and
brocade
he was also
robes.
interested in her, he
Lu
could only
Yan
toughen his
chuckled
skin and
looked
scolded,
behind him,
regardless
saying,
of shame or not.
just with how you guys are right
What
now.
are you all arguing about?
The second prince turned his
Are
head
you
and
saying a
swept
place
his
for the
gaze over the
competition
several
isn't
people in
worth
his
10,000
team,
spiritual
then said
stones?
indifferently, "It's enough with
Get
only
out
me.
if you don't want to buy it."
The opponent only had
Sinan's
one sword
voice
sovereign
carried the
cultivation
pressure of a
based
sword
sword
master.
master. Plus Lu
Although
Yan,
he had
who
a
knew how
suave
to arrange
smile on his
arrays
face,
and a few
but
sword
there was a
emperors.
coldness in his eyes which
Their
made those
overall
below
strength was
instantly
weak,
go quiet,
and he didn't feel that he needed
He
to
was
be
very
afraid
satisfied
of anyone.
with this effect and
I
continued.
see.
I believe that some people
Lu
have already
Yan dragged
advanced
her
into the
words,
top
then
500 but
glanced at
haven't
the
yet
demonic
collected all
beasts
7
behind her and
colors of
said,
jade tablets.
"You all going up or not?
There are only 2 days
Don't you want
until
pills
the
anymore?
finals. It would be a
Roar."
pity to be
The
eliminated
dozen
like
or
this.
so demonic beasts who already
Yeah.
couldn't wait any longer
The
all
person who
rushed up,
spoke before
pouncing
couldn't
towards the
resist
second
but saying
prince
and
in
the others.
cooperation.
Yi
So
Qin Hong and
10,000
the others
spiritual
weren't idle
stones for
either.
each identity jade tablet
Although they
really
didn't want
isn't
the pills,
expensive,
but they didn't want to make any
10,000
mistakes either.
spiritual stones can buy you
Since
entry
Lu
into the
Yan
finals.
asked them to gang up,
Where
then
can you
they'll
find
gang
such
up.
a deal?
The second prince obviously didn't expect her to make such a move. While taking out his
Chapter
magic tool to
274.
resist, revoke
He looked at Lu
participation
Yan
place
with
after
a
listening to
displeased expression
Sinan's
and
words.
asked,
Those who
"What
had
do you
already
mean by
advanced
this?
into the top 500
Do you
but
have
had not
bad
collected
eyes?"
all 7 colors of jade
Naturally,
tablets were
we're
all
ganging
moved.
up.
Spiritual
Lu Yan's
stones
red
could be
lips
found
parted
again,
lightly,
but if
leaving
one
the
missed
second
this
prince
chance to enter the
speechless.
finals, one would
What way
regret
of
it for the the rest of their lives.
Give me one.
With so many demonic
the big
beasts
man
and
who had
sword
spoken the
masters coming
entire
together,
time shouted
did
again.
she still want any face?
Lu Muyan's long eyelashes concealed the look in her
eyes and smiled
Luo
lightly.
Qinghe's
Let
shirt
the first
was torn
jade
open
token
by
be considered an
Han's
auspicious
chi,
start,
and the 5
so
bloody
claw marks
auctioned.
were very deep.
10,000
He shuddered in pain and
sold
glared
directly
at
to this
Yan.
friend.
I wonder
Yan
which
had a
colored
ridicule
jade
on her
tablet you
lips.
want. There's no need to
Then
be
she
righteous
looked at the
against
big
a villain
man
like
and
you.
asked.
Besides,
The big man
we're
started
ganging
at the
up.
jade
If
tablet
you're not
on the trays
reconciled,
excitedly.
then try it yourself.
I want the yellow one. Pu.
Lu Mu Yen nodded with a smile,
his eyes revealed ruthlessness.
And just as he was about to attack,
comprehended
and handed the yellow jade tablet on the tray to the big man.
by the mountain-moving
beast
from
behind, spitting blood.
There aren't many yellow jade tablets,
he's staring
and you definitely won't be able to buy them at this price later.
The mountain-moving beast was furious.
The big man took out a bag of spiritual stones
another
to
few more
exchange
slaps,
and said with an
but
honest
this time,
smile,
as long as I can enter the finals,
barely avoided his
no matter
attacks.
how expensive it is,
On the
ITL
entire
be
battlefield,
only Lu Mu
well
Yen
said.
leaned against a large rock
C-Man
leisurely,
gave the big
watching
man
over
a
the
look
fight
as if
between
saying
the
you
two
have
groups
good
languidly.
insight.
With
When
the
Luo
success
Li
of
and
the
the
big
others
man's
arrived,
transaction,
what they saw
many
was
people on the
precisely such a
sidelines
scene,
also became
and they
restless.
couldn't resist twitching the corners of
Lu
their
Mu
lips.
Yen took advantage of
This
the
woman was
situation to
changing
start
up
the
her
auction.
tricks to play people again.
The purple jade tablets
But they
were
didn't
auctioned
reveal
first,
themselves,
and the last
merely
were the red
hid to
jade
watch the
tablets.
battle not far away.
The
Just
auction
in case
atmosphere
they
wasn't
went
that
out and
active
scared
at the
several
beginning,
people
but the
away.
price of each jade
The
tablet
second
all
prince's
exceeded
combat power
10,000
was indeed
spiritual
very
stones.
strong.
And Yi Qing Han,
When there weren't many
who had
jade
already
tablets
advanced to
left,
sword
many
sovereign
became
cultivation
impatient,
base, and the
wasn't his
prices
opponent.
increased by many folds.
Come and read on our website,
especially when the red jade
site.
tablets were being auctioned.
Thanks, of course,
the situation
Yi
could be
Qing Han was a
described as
spirit beast
overwhelming.
master,
And his combat
although the
power
red
had to
jade
be
tablets
combined with the
represented
spirit
the
pet to
identity of a
achieve
small
the greatest
kingdom
effect.
sword master.
But it was
However,
also the jade
she was
tablet
only
with
at the
peak
least
phase
amount
tier
in the
6,
semifinals,
and was still not enough to
There were
fight
very
against
few
the
small
second prince.
kingdom sword masters
Lu Mu
participating
Yen
in semifinals.
took out a few rounded jade stones
There were
and
many
tossed
people,
them in the
but not a
direction
lot
of
of
the battle
porridge,
casually,
so
as
many
she
didn't
formed
have this
seals
color
with her
of
jade
hands.
tablets.
Not long
In the
after,
end,
the
she
red
snapped
jade
her
tablets
fingers
were
and
increased
increased
to a
flames
minimum of
left out from her
30,000
fingertip.
spiritual stones.
As soon
And
as
the
the
highest
cluster
was
of flames fell
50,000
into the battle area,
stones each.
it instantly activated
The face
the fire
of the second
elemental
prince,
array
who finally
within the
won a
jade
red
stones.
jade token at the price of
Several
40,000
walls of
couldn't be
fire
any
erupted
darker.
from the ground,
He
instantly
finally found
separating
out
the
that the
people
woman
who were
really
ganging
wasn't
up on
selling
them on
it
the
to him at a
battlefield.
black price before.
Although
And he
Yi
regretted
Qing
that
Han
when was at a
Lu Mu Yen
disadvantage
asked him if he
facing the
wanted a
second
red
prince,
jade tablet
but
for
he wasn't
10,000
seriously
spiritual
injured,
stones or
nor
not,
was he defeated.
why he had a brain spasm
There
and
was a hint of
refused.
admiration in Lu Mu
Now
Yan's
his heart was
eyes.
bleeding.
She pinched a few Taoish seals.
He just
and
spent an
numerous
extra
fire
30,000
floated
more
out from the
spiritual
firewall,
stones,
and he really
blocking
wanted to
in
give
front of
himself
Yi
a
Qing
few
Han.
slaps on the cheek.
A violent sword
The
aura
auction
swung
of
over
jade
by the
tablets
second
was
prince
better
was
than
blocked
expected.
by the shield wall composed
Lu
of
Mu
fire
Yen
lotuses,
was in a good mood,
and Yi Qing
she
Han
let
took
C
the
Man
opportunity
and the
to
others
launch an
auction their
offensive.
own.
After the
Yen
auction,
directed the
many
fire
people
lotuses
regretfully
within the
asked if
array
there were
that
still
came
any
and
more
went
jade
leisurely to
tablets
cooperate
left.
with Yi Qing Han's
They
attack.
were all driven crazy by the
Gradually,
auction atmosphere
the fight
earlier,
became evenly
and it were
matched
as if it
against
didn't
the
matter
second
how many
prince.
spiritual stones they
The
spent.
others,
It was
however,
all very
were pretty
profitable.
worse off. On the top floor of the auction
Because
hall
they
were
had
the
been
organizers
poisoned by
of this
Meow Meow's
continental
poisonous
tournament for
gas,
hegemony.
even if the effect didn't
The
last
organizer
long,
of this small
but it was
auction
enough
is
for the
Lu
group
Mu
of
Yen,
demonic
who's been
beasts
restless since
who
she
had gone
entered the
crazy for
competition
pills,
space,
to gang up and finish
one of them,
off.
a black-clothed elderly
Not
man,
long after,
asked with
they
an indifferent
screamed pitifully
expression,
and fell to the ground in
a
extremely
black-clothed
embarrassing
middle-aged man
states,
behind him
and their
replied,
purple identity
reporting
jade
to
tablets were
Master,
snatched
"She
away
is
one by
precisely
one.
Lu Mu Yen."
Among them,
Interesting.
Luo Qing he had it the most
The
miserable.
black-clothed elderly man
He was
revealed
beaten
a
to the
rare,
ground by the
slight
mountain-moving
smile.
beast, laying there
An
and
older
spitting
woman
blood,
whose charm
but
still
the
remained
sinisterness
sitting
in his
beside him
eyes
revealed
wasn't
concealed
concealed
too
too
much
much
because of his
displeasure.
pain.
She even dares to
Lu
auction
Mu
identity
Yan's
jade
eyes
tablets.
revealed a chill, and she
She
telepathically
sure is
transmitted to
courageous.
Shui, "Drain the blood
I
essence
suggest
of that
disqualifying her from the competition.
Yes, owner. Come and read on our
Shui
website.
had long been
Wuxia
unable
World
to
site.
wait.
Thanks,
When
she
he heard
didn't
the
like
order,
women who were
he
in the
immediately
limelight,
stretched
and
his
Lu Mu
vines
Yan's
out
way of doing things
surreptitiously under
obviously
Luo
displeased
Qing
her.
He, and when no one was paying
A
attention,
cyan-clothed elderly
he stuck
man
his
opposite
vines
her
into his
stroked his
body
long
and began
beard
to
and
suck.
said, "Us organizers
Not
has
long
not
after,
stipulated that the
Luo
auction of
Qing's
identity
eyes went
jade
black,
tablets is
and he
not
died
allowed.
quietly with an expression
If
of
we
disbelief
disqualify
and
her from the
inexplicableness.
competition because of this,
Even at
it
his
would be
deathbed,
unreasonable."
he didn't know what was
This
sucking
little
his blood
girl has the
essence.
courage to think and act.
After the
I sure
others
think
and the
it isn't
demonic
bad.
beast successfully snatched the jade
Disqualification
tablets,
from the competition
they all
is too
flocked to
serious
surround
a
the second prince
consequence.
together, and regardless
A
of
rather
anything,
enchanting
all
and
took
charming
action.
woman had a hint of admiration
The second
in
prince
her
was
eyes.
attacked by enemies on both
She is
sides,
provoking the
so even if
authority
his
of us
combat
organizers.
power was amazing,
If
if everyone
everyone
learned
learns
the
from
ganging
this
up
and
of
does
so
the
many
same,
high-level
wouldn't
sword
it break the
masters and
rules of the
demonic competitions. After the older-aged woman he accidentally still remained said with furrowed brows. With the first injury, the black-clothed elderly man glanced coldly at the woman then and his said back slowly, was hurt by a this kind of competition and should break the norms to begin angrily. Stop fighting. She did a good job. Hurry up and tell your people to stop. This little girl's behavior was very appealing to him, and he sure could pay more attention to her in the future. Was the head of this group of people then he instructed the middle-aged man behind him. This sure was the first time he had ever been so embarrassed before. Yes,
Luoli pursed his
master.
lips not far away.
The black-clothed elderly man
stood up indifferently,
to stop and
ignored everyone and walked directly out the door.
Lu Muyen will ignore him.
Others didn't dare express their
held his golden
dissatisfaction.
foil folding fan and
this
fanned
person
himself
wasn't
in a
someone they
frivolous
could
manner.
offend. Although
the
he couldn't mention disqualifying
Lu Muyen,
but after being in
competitor
contact with her
because
for
of the
so
words
long,
of the black-clothed
he still knew a
elderly
little
man.
bit about her. But she was still very
If she
displeased
could be
with
threatened
Lu
like
Muyen
this,
inwardly,
then
she wouldn't be that arrogant and unrestrained woman. In the castle
As
in the
Sinan
central
expected,
area, the elders of the
Muyen
6 major sects also
and
received the
sneered.
news of the
I have the
auction
final
and of the
say on the
organizers
rules right
immediately.
now.
What
This
right
Lu
does the
Muyen
defeated
sure
have to
has
call
so
for
many
this to
ideas.
stop?
If
She
you
even
have the
dared
guts,
to put
then
identity
fight me
jade tablets
one-on-one.
on auction. The second
I
prince
don't know
was
whether
barely
I
able
should
to
say she's
avoid the
courageous
sword
and
or
intelligent,
claws that
or that
kept
she's
attacking
young
with a
and
trace of
impulsive.
exhaustion and anger. The elder of the spirit
Lu
tamers
Muyen
sect
raised
said,
an eyebrow
not
in
knowing whether to
disapproval.
laugh or cry.
Why should I foolishly
Fortunately,
waste time
fighting
fighting
one-on-one
didn't
with you for
follow the
something that
advice
can
of
be
that
resolved
spiritual
quickly by
wine
master
ganging
of the stream reflection
Do you
restaurant
think I'm
to
as
remove
stupid
her
as
from the
you?
list? Otherwise it would be a huge loss.
The second prince had a mouthful
Although
of
they
old
didn't
blood
agree
stuck
much
in his
with Lu
chest,
Muyen's
all
approach,
because Lu
but they
Muyen
still
angered him.
appreciated it. Although Liu Yun is one of the judges of the organizers,
Watching the second prince be
representing the Stream
humiliated,
Reflection
Luo
restaurant,
Li's handsome
but the real
face was
power of
filled
this
with
competition
smiles.
is still in the hands of old
Lu
Mo of
Muyen,
the smithing
do you know
pavilion.
who I am?
Even if she
The
isn't
second
reconciled,
prince was slapped
she
by the
still needs to
mountain-moving
swallow
beast
this.
after being too slow to
The
evade,
elder of
and
the medicine
instantly
sect
swelled up as
obviously
he roared
didn't quite
angrily.
like the woman who spoke
You
and
are
wanted
the
to
second
revoke
prince
Lu
of Rome's
Muyen's
kingdom.
place. The
Lu
strong
Muyen
and sturdy
raised an
elder of
eyebrow.
the 8
Have you
extreme
been
sect
beaten
snorted
stupid?
coldly. An old
You're
woman
even
who
asking
can't find
such
a man to
questions.
marry just likes to point
The
fingers.
second prince was slashed by a
Seeing
sword
that the
aura
little
on his
girl
chest,
is young,
then
beautiful,
glared at her
and
and
capable,
said,
she becomes
jealous.
and you still dare treat me like
If
this?
Lu Muyen was really
You want to
disqualified
snatch my
because
jade
of her
tablets
words,
to kick
he
me
would
out of the
definitely go
competition
smash
space,
the signboard
but I
of the
have to
Stream
take care of your
Reflection
emotions
restaurant
on behalf of the 8
Who do you
extreme
think you
sect.
are?
It wasn't
Lu
easy for him
Muyen
to
rolled her
finally
eyes
find a
at
good
him.
seedling that's hard to
Then
find
she
in
huffed
100 years
coldly,
for his sect.
and I
All
heard
right.
that you often bullied
The
Luoli
others
back
nodded in
Rome's
agreement.
kingdom.
She is indeed stretching her
person
hands a
I'm
little
covering
too
for.
long. If you mess with him,
Lu
you mess
Muyen
with
was
me.
the
dark horse that there's
What's
6
so
major
good about
sects
Luoli
valued that makes it worthy for you
If
to
she
help
was
him
really
get revenge on me.
disqualified from participating in
The
the
second
finals
prince
by
only
Liu
now
Yun,
realized
then
that him
wouldn't
being
they
ganged
all
up
be
on was
irritated
partly
to death?
also because Lu Muyen
There was a
wanted to
cold
help
light in
Luoli
the
vent
eyes
his
of the
anger.
otherworldly,
I
handsome,
already said that in
white-clothed
covering
man
him,
sitting behind
so
a
in the
few
future
people.
when you want to bully others,
A mere
you
elder
better
of the
grow
Stream
some
Reflection
eyes.
restaurant dares to be so
Ipe.
presumptuous.
Luoli is
Should
just
he
a little
remove her
pretty
himself
face.
or wait for his woman
The
to slap
second
her in the
prince
face
really
herself?
couldn't understand why so many
Lu
women like
Muyen's small
Luoli,
auction
that
took
kind
only
of
just over
red-haired
an hour
wild
to
boy.
auction off the excess
Seeing
jade
his
tablets on
unrestrained
her.
expression,
Lu
her
Muyen
ranking
also
said to
dropped
more than
from
a dozen
second to
demonic
eighth.
beasts. Keep
She
beating him up
happily
for me.
swept the
Just
spiritual
don't kill him.
stones in her interspatial
Roar,
ring with her
roar.
mental energy.
Luoli felt
This
warm
time,
inside,
more than
but when he heard the
400,000
second prince say
spiritual
he was a
stones
little
worth
pretty
of
face,
identity jade
his
tablets
expression
were
darkened and
auctioned
turned
off.
his head, saying to
This was an
Sinan,
exceptionally
"Aren't
beneficial
you and Hellion
business,
lie little
but
pretty
a pity
faces.
it wouldn't last."
Sinan
Yi
sneered,
Qin Han
"Don't
and the
worry,
others also
you
had
can't be a little
smiles
pretty
all
face
over
the
their
way you
faces.
are." The second prince
Each
is
of them
blind.
had harvested more than
He had to
100,000
admit that
spiritual
Luoli having
stones
Lu
each.
Muyen's protection
It
made
seemed
him
that they
feel
could
a
buy
sour
1 or
taste.
2 items at this auction
Tisk,
now.
you're just jealous of this
Fuchin
young
couldn't
master.
believe it when he was holding the spiritual
Luoli
stones.
didn't miss the envy in Sinan's
He smiled
eyes.
excitedly at Lu Muyen
Sinan
and
didn't
said,
bother paying
"Muyen,
attention to him
we
and
can eat all
continued
the
to watch
tasty
the
food
gang
and
fight
strong
on the other
drinks out
side
there by following you."
Pu. The elemental energy in the
That's
second
right,
prince was
just
depleted
look at who
very
elder
badly.
sister here is.
He took out a pill
Lu
and prepared
Muyen
to
smiled,
take one, looking tsundere.
Yet who knew that he had yet to put it in his mouth
Little
when it was
beauty,
snatched
who are
away
you
by
the
a
elder
huge
sister
stone
of?
hand together with the bottle
Why
and
don't you
some
call me
random
elder
demonic
brother?
beast even whipped its tail
The
on
amount
his
of
back.
spiritual stones Sinan
The
obtained
mountain-moving
was
beast
also a
had
lot,
stayed in
and
the
he
competition
approached Lu
space the
Muyen to
entire
joke
time.
around as he
And
was in a
although he
good
could be
mood.
considered a king of a small
Lu
portion of
Muyen
an
raised
area,
an eyebrow
but he had
and
never
asked
eaten
with a
any
sinister
pills.
smile, "What are the
Ever
benefits
since
of
he
calling
tasted
you
the
elder
sweetness
brother?"
of Lu Muyen's pill just now, he became extremely excited when he saw pills.
Chapter
He tossed the second
275,
prince's pill that
Land
replenished
of
elemental
Inheritance.
energy
Sinan
into his
shuddered
mouth,
when he heard Lu
then said
Muyen's
openly
sinister
with
tone,
dissatisfaction after finishing, "This doesn't
"I'm
even
just
taste that
joking.
good." If he really asked this woman to call him elder brother, then he was afraid so much more inferior to that violent woman's. Lu Mu Yan narrowed her eyes at him, a little bit of demonic energy. Her gaze. How boring. Seeing that some people in the auction hall had followed suit and also started selling out a mouthful of tablets, she didn't say anything. This time, It was completely
If she
from
wanted
being
to eat
angered.
meat, then she should let others
Seeing all
drink
the
some
demonic
soup at
beasts
least,
so excited
not to
as if
become
they had
the
been
target
given
of
a
public
stimulant,
criticism.
Yi Qinghan and the
After
others
a little,
withdrew from the battle
auction
and
of the
watched
Ming
the
Chamber
fight
of
on the
Commerce
side.
Alliance officially began.
With the group of demonic beasts
Because
led
the
by
auction was held in the
beast,
competition
elite
space,
phase tier
so
7
all the sword
demonic
masters
beast,
participating
it wasn't
sat in the
difficult to
hall
win the
without
second
discrimination,
prince that was
and there
already
weren't
losing.
any separate private rooms.
Sure enough, the second
Lu
prince,
Muyan
who
was
was the
robbed
holder
of
of the
his
silver
pill,
token,
exhausted his
so she was
elemental
arranged by
energy and
manager
was beaten
Jiang
by
to
more
sit
than
in
a
the front
dozen
3
demonic
rows,
beasts in turn.
and the sword masters from elite
Luo
teams from
Lisai's
superpower
in the
kingdoms
distance
also
Lu
sat in the
Muyan
front
really
10
is
rows.
good.
That
Ji
bastard
Xian
second
and Yan
prince
Jun
also
happened
happened
to be sitting behind
How
her.
relieving.
The two obviously knew each other and they
twitched.
chatted
She's
while
getting
sitting
more
together.
and more
violent. Lu Muyan leaned back on the chair
languidly,
of demonic
listening
beasts
into the
to gang up the
conversation
second
between the
prince
two
made
from
him
time
feel
to
pain
time
all
and
over his
obtain
body
some
when
news from it.
watching. For example,
read on
in
our
today's
website,
auction,
Wuxia World
although the
site.
major forces didn't send
Thanks
people
Luoli
to
glanced
participate,
at him,
but
what
there
do
were
you
many
know?
participating sword
This is
masters with
precisely
clan
her
missions
charm.
and the competition would be very fierce.
Sinan rolled his eyes speechlessly,
Lu Muyan,
but he agreed
you made a lot
inwardly.
of money this time, didn't you?
No matter how rough and
Yan
violent
Jun's
that woman
amorous
Lu
eyes were
Muyan
filled
was,
with a smile,
she was still so
and he reached
elegant
out
and
to pat her
attractive.
shoulder. Yan
Lu
Jun and
Muyan
Mo
turned her
Ling
head,
had long since
nodded,
arrived to
and said
hide
with a
on the
smile,
hillside opposite
"Indeed,
Luo
earned
Li
a
and the
lot,
others.
but no matter how much I
Seeing
earn,
the second
I'll
prince
never forget
swollen
the
and
50,000
their
spiritual
scalps were
stones you
numb.
owe me."
This woman
Yan
really
Jun's
shouldn't be
lips
messed
twitched.
with. Yan
This
Jun
woman
said
sure
in
was
amusement.
obsessed with money.
Luckily, he didn't
Yan
mess
Jun
with her.
owes you 50,000
Mo
spiritual
Ling's
stones.
arrogant and solitary aura
Ji
carried a
Xian
slight
asked
distance
in
from
surprise.
others. Her points have already
Lu
advanced
Muyan
to the top
glanced at him.
100. So what? Lu Muyan's
I'm just a
points in
little
the previous
curious
about
3
how he
months
ended
hadn't
up owing
changed
you
at all,
50,000
but because of the
spiritual
jade
stones.
tablet
rewards for the preliminary
Ji
round,
Xian's handsome
her
face
points revealed
revealed
a
a
bit
bit
of
of
playfulness.
500.
Is it like the second prince?
Recently,
many elite
do you
teams
think
from
that's
large
possible?
kingdoms had come here to find
Yan
Lu
Jun's
Muyan
face
and the others
darkened.
to snatch jade tablets.
He wasn't a
but
waste
were all
like that
count
second
robbed.
prince.
The purple
Then
jade
why do you
tablets
owe
had
her
the highest
spiritual
points,
stones?
so Lu Muyan's points
Ji
had
Xian
skyrocketed
asked
again.
persistently.
Her goal
A
is the top
tigress.
10. She cured my illness.
Yan
Jun's eyes were dark.
Lu Muyan
and he asked
was
Mo Ling,
decisively
who wasn't
interrupted
far
by
away.
Yan Jun
What's
before
the
she could
background of that
continue
person
speaking.
named Shu Han? Lu Muyan
He's
chuckled
already reached
softly,
the 20th
and she
place
felt
and his
much
points
better when
also
she saw
only
the
started
ugly
moving
look
in
on
the
Yan
last half a
Jun's
month.
face. Not
What
sure.
tigress?
He and Lu
Ji
Muyan
Xian
are
could
both
see
the
at a
dark
glance
horses
that
Yan
Yan
Jun's
Jun's
expression
expression
wasn't good,
opponents
and there
for the
was
top
something
3.
hidden behind what Lu Muyan
Currently,
said. Mo Ling had completely
Lu
placed
Muyan
the law
looked
of them on
askance
an
at
equal
him,
footing with
blinked,
himself,
and said,
"You want
Yan
to know?"
Jun
raised an eyebrow.
I want to
Their
know.
strength is really good,
Ji
but the
Xian
skyrocketing
nodded.
points like Lu
The
Muyan's
news
is
fee
just
is
a coincidence.
20,000 spiritual stones.
The top 10 finals must be won through one's combat strength. Lu Muyan looked
Aren't
as
you
if
a
she
little
was
too
like a little
worried?
fox saying,
Aren't
"You got
you
a bargain."
thinking the same?
You really
Mo
can only
Ling
think
glanced
about
at
him
money.
calmly, hypocrite. Ji Xian looked at her with amusement and didn't
Mo
ask any
Ling,
more questions.
I really
can't hear anything good
from
it
your
wasn't
mouth.
worth 20,000 spiritual
Jun
stones
huffed.
to hear Yan Jun's embarrassment.
Aside from them,
Ji Xian's
Yan
men
Jun
were
glared
also
at Lu
watching the
Muyan.
battle not
You,
far away.
woman,
really became addicted
Fourth
to
prince
robbery
is
didn't
truly
you?
wise.
This
She
Lu
actually
Muyan
wanted to
really
sell
isn't
them
as
as simple as she
humiliating news
seems.
in his life to Ji Xian.
One
of them said, "She's truly
Seeing the
abominable."
second
prince beaten so
If
badly
Ji
by being
Xian,
ganged
this
up
kid,
on, their
knew that
eyelids
he was
were
almost
twitching.
forced by a demonic beast,
I've got to say,
wouldn't he
her
laugh
method
at him
of
for the rest
snatching
of his
jade
life?
tablets is very crude
How
and
did you know?
effective.
Ji
Lu Muyan's
Xian blinked.
eyes were filled with admiration.
She just said that to Ji Xian
He knew
so
that
he
Lu
would
Muyan
retreat.
was hiding very deeply.
She wouldn't reveal
and she
what
was
happened
probably
that
not
day.
even revealing all her strength
After all,
and trump
it
cards.
was a
very disgraceful event
corners
for
of
Yan
his lips
Jun. Yan
rose.
Jun smiled helplessly.
He
really looked forward to
He
meeting
simply
in the
couldn't
finals.
match this woman's glib tongue.
Lu Muyan, just
By
what
the
do you
way,
want? You just said that she
the second
cured your
prince's
illness.
aura was a little weak right
Ji
now.
Xian elbowed Yan
Those
Jun's
demonic
arm,
beasts
raised
didn't use
an
all their
eyebrow
demonic
and asked,
energy under
"Is
Lu
it
Muyan's
possibly?"
orders?
But without
Yes.
elemental energy shields,
Yan
he was
Jun's heart
beaten until he
disease
was
had been
in terrible
cured
pain
and there was
all
no
over.
more
fear that he must not
Lu
speak of
Muyan
it.
blinked and smiled.
Ji Xian
Second
was
prince,
slightly surprised.
I wonder
whether you still want to stay in
It
this
seemed that he
competition
still had
space.
underestimated Lu Muyan
Of course
before.
I want to. Guqin,
Just say what you
very
want
old
directly.
7-stringed instrument. First tell them to stop.
Can be translated to Zither.
The second prince wasn't
Come
stupid
and read on
either.
our website Wuxia World
Lu
site.
Muyan let these demonic beasts attack him.
A melodious
and
and brisk vital point
sound
came from
snatch
his
his
jade
tablets,
and the auction hall,
which meant she must
which
have
was
a
originally
purpose.
noisy, instantly
Lu
became
Muyan
quiet.
clapped her hands and
After
told the
the
group
sound
of
of the
unsatisfied
Gucci
demonic
fell,
beasts,
a stunning young woman
"Stop."
with a delicate and beautiful
The
appearance
mountain-moving
and an
beast
exquisite
kicked the
figure
second
stepped
prince's
onto the
leg
front
once
stage,
heavily before he
causing
left,
the eyes of
muttering,
many men to
"We
follow
haven't
her
even fought
continuously.
heartily yet." beauty.
Lu Mu Yan looked at the sky
looked at the stage with great interest.
Was it really all right for her to give such a violent demonic beast to her elder brother?
Lu Mu Yan saw that the woman on stage was wearing a long rose-red dress.
The second prince cried out
had
in
an excellent
pain.
figure one.
And
His
her
leg
appearance
was definitely
broken by this damned demonic
but she had a
beast.
few more mature feminine
We
charms.
snatched so many jade tablets.
Not only is
Take
she
out
a beauty,
your pills.
she's also a stunner.
The mountain-moving beast
Lu
didn't
Mu
care whether
Yan's
the
eyes
second
were
prince
filled
lived
with
or
admiration,
died, and he approached Lu
She
Mu
didn't know
Yan
why,
to ask for pills.
but she didn't feel disgusted
the
by
other
this
demonic
woman,
beasts
but
also
instead
scurried
had
over
a
and
faint
stared at
liking for
Lu Mu
her.
Yan with scorching
The
eyes.
corners of the several people's
Even
lips
Yi
twitched when they heard
golden
her
eagle
praise.
king, Chi,
It was
no
the first
exception.
time they've heard a woman
When the
commenting another
mountain-moving
woman as a
beast took
stunner.
the pill,
He smelled the
Hellion
pill
Lai
and
smiled
knew
with
that this was
frivolity
the
and
opportunity
asked,
he could
while
take to
women
break through
also
to tier
appreciate
7.
each other.
Although it
Why
was a
can't
bit
we women
embarrassing to
appreciate
gang up
each
on a
other?
human sword master with
The woman on the
rest,
stage
but
is
head go
indeed
all
very
out for the
attractive.
pills.
Lu Mu Yan
took
rolled her
out a
eyes
few
at
bottles
him.
of pills and stuffed
They
them to
didn't
Lu Mu
deny
by
her
behind her.
words.
Big brother.
The woman
Cash in
above
these
was
pills
indeed a
according to the
stunner,
number of
but they
jade
were more
tablets
interested
they
in Lu Mu
snatched.
Yan. All right.
Greetings everyone.
Lu Mu Bai took
My
the
name is
pills
Lang
and
Yi,
said with
and
a
in the
smile.
auctioneer of this Ming Chamber
Lu
of
Mu
Commerce
Yan was
Alliance
too lazy
auction.
to pay attention to the group
Lang
of
Yi's
demonic
voice
beasts
was
that were
tender
like
and
wolves
soft,
and tigers,
but it didn't make
and
people
walked
feel
straight to the
pretentious.
second prince.
This woman's voice is also quite nice.
Hellion
Chapter
Lai said with a
269.
smile.
Robbing openly, Lu Mu
Yan
Yan
chuckled
walked
and
lazily
asked,
to the
"Have you
second
bones
prince and
softened?"
squatted down in front of him. The second prince looked up
Hellion
at her
Lai's
defensively,
face darkened
his
and he
handsome
glanced
face
at
was
Lu Mu
ashen
Yan
and
on
on
guard.
peripheral vision. She didn't
Only
care
after
about his
seeing that
attitude
she
either.
didn't have any reaction did he
She
turn
took
to
out a
glare
bottle
at
of grade
Sinan.
3
Do
energy
you think him
nourishing
as
pills
lustful
from
as
her
you?
interspatial ring.
This young
Poured
master
one out
likes
and held it
beautiful
with 2
women.
fingers. That's nothing
She
to be
shook it in
ashamed
front of
about.
the second prince and said,
"How can you
"This
say it's
energy-nourishing
lust?
pill has the miraculous
Sinan
effect of
shook
healing
his
both
fan with a
external and
frivolous
internal
look.
injuries and costs
Lu
only
only furrowed
10,000
his brows
spiritual
and said,
stones.
Enough from you
Do
two
you want
perverts. The auction has
Promise
started.
you'll be cured."
The two of them turned their
All the
heads
people
away
present
and cursed
and those who were
inwardly.
hiding and
Lu Li
watching
is such a
couldn't
hypocrite.
resist twitching their lips.
Lu Mu Yan knew
They
that they
thought
were
Lu
joking
Mu Yan
around
was
and
going to
ignored
take
it,
care of the
turning
second
her
prince
attention to the
personally.
beauty on
But
the
who
stage.
knew that she actually went to do
I
business
believe
with
everyone
him?
already knows the rules
Appeal
of the
to
auction.
treat internal and external
I won't
injuries
say much
actually
here.
cost 10,000 spiritual
Lang Yi
stones.
snapped her fingers and a beautiful
was
woman
simply
in yellow
robbery in
came
broad
up on
daylight,
stage, holding a tray.
The second prince's whole body
This is a
hurt
sword
so
skill
much
of
that his
Earth
face
rank,
was even
acquired
paler
by a
now.
sword saint powerhouse
He
in the
smelt
land
the
of
pill
inheritance.
fragrance and felt refreshed.
It is suitable for ice
He wanted
attribute
it,
sword
but it was
masters,
simply
and there
too
are 10
expensive.
sets of sword techniques.
10,000 spiritual stones
Each
is
set
too
is very
expensive.
powerful, and there is
Not
also a set of a
expensive.
nameless sword realm in this sword
10,000
skill.
spiritual stones is
If
already
one can
cheap
comprehend
for you.
it, then your future
If you don't
achievements
want
will
it,
definitely
then
be
whatever.
extraordinary.
Lu Mu Yan
Tossing
pursed
aside
her lips
everything
and
else,
was about to put
I
the
believe
pill
everyone
away.
knows the value of
The
sword
second
skills
prince
from the
felt
land
that
of
his internal
inheritance.
organs were in severe pain.
After introducing the sword
He was
skills,
extremely
Lang Yi
angered,
continued,
but he still
as
gritted
the
his
first
teeth
auction
and said,
item, our
"Deal."
Chamber of Commerce will set its
Lu
starting
Mu
price
Yan
at
gave
one
him a look
low-quality
as if to say,
spiritual
"You are
stone.
indeed sensible."
The
and handed
auction
the pill
begins
to him.
now. You pay.
Hearing
He'll
Lang
deliver.
Yi's words, most
The
of the
second
sword
prince's
master's
face was
below were
completely
fiery
sore,
with desire
and his
now.
expression was blue and black.
It's actually from the land of
Did
inheritance.
she think he'd cheat her or something?
That senior sword
Give
saint
it to me
sure is
first.
lucky.
I can't move right now.
Earth-rank sword skills
His
are rare
whole
to
body
begin
hurts
with,
so
and there are
badly that
even
he
fewer
gasped
ones
whenever
that
he
contain
moved.
sword realms.
Lu Mu
Who
Yan
would have
wasn't
expected
afraid
that
that
Wed
he'd
he'd
run
run
away,
with this auction?
and thinking of her future
Things
plans,
that come out of the
she
land
tossed
of
the pill
inheritance
into
are
his
all
mouth.
good things.
The pill melted
Even
the
if their
moment it
immortal
entered
rank
his
two
mouth.
sword skill.
The second prince
Although
felt
the
a
starting
coolness
price
spreading
of
throughout his body and the burning pain was indeed gradually lessening,
but it's
while his
difficult to
internal
win
organs
without
didn't feel
strong
that kind of
capital.
pinching pain anymore.
Aye.
He moved
That's
his
true.
body and his eyes revealed
A copy of this
surprise.
kind of sword skill
Who
can
knew
fetch
that
sky-high
this woman's
prices
pills
outside.
were really effective.
I wonder how
But
much
remembering that he
ITLL
spent
go for
10,000
today.
spiritual stones
The
to buy
discussions
it,
below
his flesh
rose
hurt
one
again.
after another,
all revolving
that the
around the
second
land of
prince had
inheritance
recovered a
and the
lot.
sword skill.
Lu Mu Yan reached out
Lu
her
Mu
hand
Yan
and
was
patted his
puzzled
chest.
and looked at Sinan beside her,
A purple jade
asking,
tablet
what
leapt out
sort
of his
place
clothes
is the
and
land
fell
of
into her
inheritance?
hands.
Hearing
After
her
the start of the
question, Sinan
semifinals,
and the others were
identity
completely
jade tablets of the
speechless.
contestants weren't allowed
This
to be
woman
placed
was
in
usually
interspatial
so shrewd
spaces
and
and could
capable.
only be worn on their bodies. But she actually didn't even know about the land of inheritance. This was also convenient for snatching. Ji Xian always thought that Lu Muyan's origin might not be as simple as it seemed. Do you still want to stay in the competition space to participate in the finals? He couldn't help but hold his forehead. He could now be sure that although she smiled beautifully like this, sly woman, but he still felt a little frightened inwardly. Like that. Just what do you want? Otherwise, it was impossible for her to not even mind the land of inheritance. she asked with a raised arc on her lips and blinked. One don't actually know how author described the woman that was creeping up his chest and his eyes grew more alert yellow rank since you snatched it, but she could have gotten confused since some other cultivation novels. So what if I don't want to be teleported out of the competition space? Either way, I've corrected it to mortal rank, the identity what she mentioned in an earlier chapter somewhere, which indicated how many times the author uses yellow rank and decide after winning the opponent's jade tablets in the semi-finals. As long as one used mental energy to erase the identity imprint, the other party would be automatically sent out of the competition space. I've got money with nowhere to spend. If it were snatched, had already read the files in the Imperial Library could still remain in the competition space. But it naturally it's because I want to do business with you. Lianzhou Kingdom may be considered a medium-sized kingdom compared to its surrounding areas, but compared to the participating kingdoms in the competition space, it was like the others felt between a large rock and a speck of gravel. What business? Any few sword venerable elders from any superpower kingdom could destroy Lu Mu Yan's kingdom. This woman was definitely a tigress which made her spit out danger stronger and stronger. Do you think in order to keep the Lu clan valuable, she must continue to become stronger? Yan asked instead. Even the Lu clan come and read on our website into an iron wall so that people couldn't take advantage of it. Thanks hearing her question. As long as one wasn't a fool, is a very one could guess her purpose. She was precisely it's open once every 100 years by the 6 major sects and several top forces in the continent jointly opening up a channel for the pupils to enter. If spiritual stones were gone, introduced, it could still be searched for. Lu Mu Yan but if he was teleported out of the competition space, time every then he would even lose the opportunity of entering the top 100. Did they open a passage just for the pupils to enter? More importantly, it was too embarrassing. When Nan and the others heard her questions, after returning to the Empire, all subconsciously felt how many people would laugh in their hearts. Lu Mu Yan she really had a clever mind before she took the initiative to grasp the key details. The second prince was still favored in Rongza Kingdom. The opening time of the land of inheritance is actually not each other. But it was only small fights. It's just that every 100 years, there will be a period when he came into the array earlier. At its weakest. He didn't have much killing intent either. The 6 major sects probably several top forces used that time to open up didn't have any thoughts of killing them, and only allowing pupils to enter is because there's no other way. How many spiritual stones do you think space can only accommodate sword masters who have a cultivation base below with the jade tablet in her hands and said with a smile, if it's too low, entered the land of inheritance, they would be killed by a space storm that suddenly stuck in the second prince's chest almost spurted out. This woman was too shameless. Lu Mu Yan raised for a bit with a dark expression, the auctioneer then asked that the earth-ranked 20,000 skill was found in the inheritance space by a sword saint powerhouse. So you're only worth 20,000 spiritual stones. That was 200 years ago. Lu Mu Yan sneered. Are you after the last opening of the land of inheritance, she was saying 20,000 spiritual powerhouse was enough to only send away beggars? It said that the endurance was about to go crazy, has reached its limit and is on the verge of collapse. Yan Jun interjected, if a sword saint powerhouse forcibly enters and fights in the space, then it will cause the space to be destroyed and collapse instantly. The land of inheritance may never be opened again in the future, so the 6 major sects and several top forces don't dare take that risk, and are also reluctant to sacrifice sword saint powerhouses. What good things are in the land of inheritance? Is it a secret realm? Lu Mu Yan was obviously more interested in what was inside. Ji Xian smiled. The most attractive thing about the land of inheritance is the inheritance. It said that the space began to develop in the ancient times. After every high-level sword saint and sword deity level powerhouses die, as long as their consciousness condenses a will, they will leave an inheritance hall in the inheritance space, and use a wisp of their divine soul to preserve their lives' skills or special techniques to pass on to those who are destined. There are also sword saints or sword deity level powerhouses who will choose to go to the inheritance space to build an inheritance hall when they have no hope of breaking through. There are manuals and magic tools from their entire lives placed in there, just for someone to find it and continue their legacy. Luo Yi added. So that's how it is. Lu Mu Yan's eyes were filled with interest. She might have to go and take a look when she had the chance. While the several people were discussing, the auction was also proceeding fiercely, and the earth rank cultivation method was already up to 20,000 spiritual stones. You don't want to bid? Lu Mu Yan asked Si Nan and the others. If she remembered correctly, Si Nan and Ji Xian both cultivated the ice attribute elemental law. There are some flaws in this earth rank method. Those who know generally won't bid for it. Nan whispered. Lu Mu Yen looked at him and asked curiously, how do you know? What flaw? This manual was auctioned once, more than a decade ago. It was won by a genius sword sovereign, but because the will in the sword skill has the disadvantage of devouring mental energy, the possibility of that sword sovereign advancing to sword venerable was destroyed. Nan said with slight pity. Observing the people around them who were bidding, one could see that there wasn't a single sword master from a superpower kingdom. Although this was a secret matter, but there were still many people who knew it. After all, things that came from the land of inheritance were rare. They were not unmoved, but they didn't dare to gamble their future on a sword skill. Lu Mu Yen observed her surroundings and also found the problem. There was interest in her eyes. The will of the sword skill that could devour mental energy. Interesting. This sword master has bid 20,000 spiritual stones. Is there anyone else who will bid higher? Lang Yi scanned the people who sat below and said with a smile, I will count to 3. If no one bids, then this sword skill will belong to this friend. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks. 1, 2. When Lang Yi was about to call 3, a lazy and clear female voice suddenly sounded. 30,000 spiritual stones. Nan and Ji Xian looked at Lu Mu Yen as if they didn't know her. Are you crazy? Lu Mu Yen, Nan just told you about the flaw of that sword skill. 30,000 spiritual stones isn't worth it. Luoli didn't expect Lu Mu Yen to bid even when she knew that the sword skill had a problem, so he persuaded. Lu Mu Yan's eyebrows were beautiful and there was an unrestrained smile on her face. No worries, I've got a lot of money, and if I don't use it, I'll feel uneasy. The several people rolled their eyes inwardly. What sort of reason was that? 40,000. Obviously, the previous sword master was also very interested in this sword skill. Lu Mu Yen ignored the gaze of the several people who wanted to stop her and continued to bid, 50,000. The sword master revealed a bit of displeasure, then finally sighed and stopped bidding. 50,000 already exceeded his expectations. Lu Mu Yen, if you've really got too much money that you feel uneasy, we can help you use it. Using it to buy this flawed manual, be careful not to lose your army on top of losing your wife. Nan couldn't resist but say. This woman was really not a normal person, knowing that there were tigers in the mountains, yet still walking towards the mountains with tigers. Can't I buy it to be a desk pad? Lu Mu Yen raised an eyebrow, with an expression as if saying Laonyang has money with nowhere so spent, so I'm happy to buy. Nan took a deep breath and turned his head to the side, otherwise he was afraid that he couldn't resist strangling her to death. Lu Mu Yen was a woman that made people both love and hate, and no one could compare to how she angered people. Ji Xian and the others couldn't help twitching their lips when they saw her expression as if saying I've got money that was looking for a beating. They won't bother with her. She couldn't be looked at with gazes when looking at a normal person. In the end, Lu Mu Yen won the Earth rank sword skill at the price of 50,000 spiritual stones, which made many sword masters pay more attention to her. Lu Mu Yen, after you get the sword skill, don't research too deeply into it. I've heard that this sword skill is very insidious, and has already rotated through many owners. Luo Yi knew that Lu Mu Yen would never do things without reason. He naturally wouldn't believe the excuse she said about having too much money and feeling uneasy about it, but he still couldn't resist but remind her. With such excellent, heaven-defying talent, it would really be a pity if she was really compromised by this skill. Thank you for your caution, I understand. Lu Mu Yen replied with a smile. It was precisely because this sword skill had flaws and was insidious that she bid for it. Otherwise, why would she spend 50,000 spiritual stones to bid for an Earth-rank sword skill? Of course, it was naturally impossible for her to announce her ideas to the others. After all, she hadn't even studied this insidious sword skill yet. She won the sword skill purely out of interest and curiosity. You are an unreasonable woman. Luo Li glared at her. Lu Muyen smiled and said in a way that made her look as if she was seeking a beating, "What can I do? I've got a lot of money." The several people gritted their teeth, but also had to admit that Lu Muyen was indeed the person with the most spiritual stones among them. Chapter 277, Summer Lightboat. After the first auction item was won by Lu Muyen, Lang Yi continued to auction the second item. The second question item is a bottle of grade 3 pills. Item after item were auctioned off by Lang Yi. Yan Jun and the others all got what they wanted, and even Yi Qinghan, Yun Zmo, and the others obtained a few good magic tools and spiritual items. Towards the end, Lu Muyen only bid for and won a few spiritual herbs and spiritual items besides the manual. Lu Muyen, don't you want to bid for this defense-type magic tool? Luo Li turned to Lu Muyen to ask when he heard Lang Yi introduce a defensive shield refined by a grade 4 smith. Lu Muyen glanced at the shield. Middle-quality Saint tool, made from the bones and skin of peak phase tier 6 demonic beasts. The refining method was relatively skilled, but unfortunately, it didn't enter her eyes. Not interested. Sinan leaned over and said, "You only have the golden sword attack type magic tool, you indeed need a defense type magic tool. The shield above is the best defense type magic tool in this auction. You really won't think about it. Can the above shield withstand the full force bombardment of advanced phase sword sovereigns?" Lu Muyen asked instead. "If they attack with all their strength a dozen or so times, it can probably not withstand it." Sinan thought a little then replied. Lu Muyen raised an eyebrow, "Then is there a reason I need to buy it? Do you really think I'm a fool who has more money than I can spend?" She could now fight against sword masters at sword sovereign cultivation base, so this shield was only a burden to her. The corner of Sinan's lips twitched. It couldn't withstand the full force bombardment of an advanced phase sword sovereign, but it could still resist initial and middle phase sword sovereign attacks. It was still useful in combat. But remembering Lu Muyen's strong and abnormally monstrous combat power, he instantly silenced himself. Ji Xian and the others felt speechless when they heard her words. Comparing the earth-rank sword skill to this shield was obviously more practical. She was indeed not a fool, she was a lunatic. When the auction came to an end, Lang Yi smiled softly and said, "All the items prepared for this auction have been sold. Now the finale will be auctioned. I believe it won't disappoint everyone. Young Miss Lang, don't keep us guessing, take out the finale item and let's have a look." The sword masters below shouted impatiently. After he finished speaking, everyone else agreed. The finale item of each auction of the Ming Chamber of Commerce Alliance were all very rare and valuable items, so they were naturally the most sought-after items. Of course the price must also be ridiculously high. Since everyone is so impatient, then I won't continue to keep you guessing. Lang Yi smiled and clapped her hands. A white-robed man walked onto the stage, and with a flip of his palm, a black boat the size of a palm appeared. "It's actually a flying-type magic tool," someone in the audience exclaimed. Other people's eyes were also very fierce as they stared at the boat in the man's hand. Light boat, typical appearance of a light boat. This is a flying-type magic tool that the Grade 5 Smith, Great Master Wu, spent 10 years refining, the Sumra 1 light boat. Great Master Wu, it's actually a magic tool refined by Great Master Wu. Yeah. Great Master Wu has been famous on Tianling continent for more than 200 years, and he hasn't auctioned magic tools for decades, but we actually encountered one this time. Only when Lang Yi saw that the people below were all excited, did she continue to speak slowly. The Sumra light boat has the speed of a Tier 7 flying demonic beast and has a defensive function, comparable to a top-quality defense-type Saint tool. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks, and there is the most important feature of the Summer Light Boat, and that is that it can change its size freely. The smallest form is only the size of a palm. A sword master can also shrink it to this limit while sitting on this light boat. It's an excellent choice for exploring secret realms or going out without attracting others' attention. A flying-type magic tool the size of a palm is a very small target, and it also has a defense function of a high-quality saint tool. Such a magic tool has not appeared in at least 100 years. Everyone must seize this opportunity. Ling Yi's words sounded very truthful, but they also easily incited people's enthusiasm and had hidden meanings. Many people below were moved. Young Miss Lang, how many people can this Summer Light Boat carry? A sword master from a large kingdom below asked. It can carry up to 3,000 people. Ling Yi predicted that someone would ask questions below, so she didn't introduce everything at the beginning. It would be more engaging questioning and answering like this. Since it can seat so many people, if there is an emergency in the clan, it can also be used to escape. A sword master behind him muttered. His words were also what other sword masters thought. It having the flying speed of a Tier 7 demonic beast meant that it was even faster than that of a human sword venerable flying on swords. If one's clan encountered any major disaster, using this defensive light boat to escape was also a trump card. Lu Muyan's mental energy stretched forward and swept over the Summer Light Boat, then an arc rose on her lips. This flying-type defense magic tool was indeed a fine product. If she found several rare spars in the future to refine it, its grade could be improved again. Defensive flying-type magic tools were more practical than flying demonic beasts. After all, they could carry a lot more people, so it wasn't bad to win it and use it as an escape trump card for the Lu clan. She rubbed her chin and thought about it. By then, she could even refine a few puppet mechanisms to install on the light boat. After making it attack, defend, and fly, she believed that even if the Lu clan was attacked by a sword venerable level powerhouse, they could transfer the clan members to escape safely. Young Miss Lang, can you use this Summer Light Boat in battle? One of them asked. Many flying-type magic tools were good and easy to use, but the moment they met a battle, they would be unable to be activated. Plus, because they're expensive, many sword masters preferred to choose flying-type spirit pets. The Summer Light Boat can 100% be activated for battle. You can all rest assured and try it as much as you want after you win it. Ling Yi's stunning and gorgeous face had a firm look. If it can't be activated, then our Chamber of Commerce will not only refund the full amount, but also double the compensation. Gasp! Hearing her promise, many people couldn't resist drawing a deep breath. To have the Ming Chamber of Commerce Alliance make such a promise proved that the Summer Light Boat was definitely as Lang Yi said, otherwise who would be stupid enough to pay double. It had a large load capacity, could change its size, and had the attributes of a defensive top-quality saint tool. It was indeed worthy of being the finale item of the auction. No one present was unmoved by such a flying-type magic tool. Young Miss Lu, may I take the liberty of asking, since this Summer Light Boat is so good, why would it be auctioned in this competition space? A sword master from a superpower kingdom asked rationally. If such a thing was taken out of the competition space to auction, it was definitely an item that numerous kingdoms or distinguished clans would vie for. They, elite pupils of their clans participating in the competition space, simply couldn't compare to the financial resources of their entire clan. Even if one came with a clan mission, the spiritual stones brought were still limited. The question he asked was also the suspicion in the hearts of many people. Could it be that this Summer Light Boat had a huge drawback too? A good question from this friend. Lang Yi smiled gracefully, radiating youthfulness. This is also something I was prepared to speak about. One Sumro is a name of a mountain, I believe. I didn't know how to translate and was just going to leave it as Shuni, but there just so happened to be a mountain named that, so I used that translation. The original Chinese for this boat is Chaper 278. Precisely wants to frustrate you to death. Everyone present calmed down and looked at Lang Yi on the stage, waiting for her answer. Lang Yi smiled gracefully and said, Senior Wu participated in the Tianling Continent Tournament of Hegemony 200 years ago. Although he didn't advance into the top 100 at the time, but he obtained a fortuitous opportunity in the competition space that allowed him to become a smith, and he also met his beloved wife in that competition. This time, he spent 10 years refining the Summer light boat to commemorate the opportunity of that year, and to auction the light boat here to encourage everyone. Lang Yi continued, of course, if Great Master Wu can refine one Summer light boat, then he can refine the second, so you all don't need to be too concerned. Lang Yi's meaning was obvious. Great Master Wu made the first Summer light boat to commemorate the fortuitous opportunity of that year, and his 10 years of hard work had not been in vain. It was most likely that when he made the second flying-type magic tool, he would be more familiar with the process. So that's how it is. I have long heard that Great Master Wu had met that talented female cultivator in the competition space who became his beloved companion, and as such, their story became a fine tale that spread far and wide. It seems that the chance encounter in the competition space wasn't small, otherwise it would have been impossible for him to become the current grade 5 smith he is. Many people appeared as if they were given a stimulant. Great Master Wu being able to meet a fortuitous opportunity that made him turn from an inconspicuous person from a small medium kingdom into a grade 5 smith who was now famous across the mainland meant that they may also be able to encounter a large opportunity. In such a way, we, sword masters who participated this time, are sharing a bit of his light. I heard that Great Master's hobbies are all rather strange, so it's understandable if Great Master Wu wants to commemorate that fortuitous encounter. Lu Muyan recognized that Lang Yi's frank expression didn't seem to be fake, but she just had a constant feeling that the reason for the Great Master's auction was a little far-fetched. If that's the case, then Miss Lang, quickly auction it. The people below all believed in this reason and shouted excitedly for Lang Yi to quickly auction it. Since everyone is so impatient, then I won't say any more. Lang Yi said with a smile, the starting price of this Summer light boat is 20,000 spiritual stones, and the price must not increase lower than 1,000 spiritual stones each time. The auction will now start. 25,000 spiritual stones. As soon as she finished speaking, someone began to bid. 30,000 spiritual stones. 50,000 spiritual stones. Very soon, the price was called to 100,000 spiritual stones. It seemed that the elite pupils of those large kingdoms were all prepared and rich. 120,000. Luo Ye's clear voice came out slowly. Yan Jun also wanted to bid for it, but unfortunately, he didn't have enough spiritual stones, so he had to give up. Although Ji Xian was valued in the empire, but he was always suppressed by that Jiyu mother and son pair, so in the resources he obtained, he had limited spiritual stones. He didn't have any hope for the Summer light boat. Jiyu was swallowed by the evil Jiao, and the interspatial ring was also swallowed together. Everyone thought that the ring was still in the evil Jiao's belly, but no one knew that Mo Yan had devoured that evil Jiao and the ring had already landed in Lu Mu Yan's hands. Therefore, Lu Mu Yan was actually rolling in money right now. 130,000. Si Nan shouted slovenly. Although Helion Lai's empire wasn't as good as the two of theirs, but he came with the resources of the Imperial family and also desired the Summer light boat, 140,000. 160,000. An elite pupil of a superpower kingdom shouted. 180,000. Luo Yi continued to follow. 200,000. Helion Lai gritted his teeth. Si Nan narrowed his eyes and shouted his baseline price, 220,000. 230,000. Luo Yi continued. 250,000. The man was obviously very confident. 260,000. Luo Yi hadn't reached his bottom price yet. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks, the man snorted coldly and shouted, 300,000. 300,000 already exceeded Luo Ye's bottom price, and the Empire's resources he brought were exactly this number. Although he had long guessed that the Sumra light boat wouldn't be so easy to obtain, but he didn't expect it to be so high. Of course, if this flying-type magic tool was auctioned outside, the price would definitely not be lower than 500,000 low-quality spiritual stones. The price of 300,000 caused an uproar among the sword masters. This was a huge amount of money. Everyone thought that the person who made the final bid would definitely win, and even the sword master himself thought so, just waiting for Lang Yi to announce the result, but who knew that he would hear a lazy and sweet voice. 310,000. Everyone followed the voice to find that the person who made the bid was a peerless, purple-clothed woman, and many recognized that she was the one who auctioned the identity jade tablets before. This woman probably made a lot from auctioning identity jade tablets before. Someone muttered bitterly. There were also people who were slightly afraid of Lu Muyen. She can use the venue of the Ming Chamber of Commerce Alliance to hold a small auction. This means that her background shouldn't be average. It's better to not provoke her. This one is the Crown Prince of Nanshuan Kingdom. This Sumra light boat is very important to me, so I hope Miss Lu can yield. There was a haze in the eyes of the man who bid before. His words made Luo Li and the others furrow their brows. Was he trying to threaten Lu Muyen? Apologies. I also like this Sumra light boat. The one with the highest price will obtain it. You can bid as you please. If it can be higher than me, then this flying magic tool will naturally belong to you. Lu Muyen hooked her lips, and what she said was arrogant and unrestrained. Using Nanshuan Kingdom to oppress her. What's that about? The expression of the Crown Prince of Nanshuan Kingdom darkened. This woman truly failed to appreciate one's kindness. How dare a person from a small kingdom be so arrogant? So what if she's the dark horse? Wasn't she just relying on the fact that she knew Luo Li and Si Nan to fight him? He really didn't believe that if he and her were to actually fight, that Luo Li, Si Nan, and the others would form a bad relationship with him just because of Lu Muyen. 330,000. He cursed Lu Muyen inwardly. It could have been one using 300,000 originally, yet who knew that an accident would occur? It would be an unhappy occurrence for anyone. It was just that he completely forgot that this was an auction, and the one with the highest price would win. That was the truth. Lu Muyen glanced at him casually, then shouted leisurely, 350,000. Young Miss Lu, are you certain that you want to spend so much money buying a flying-type magic tool? The Crown Prince of Nanshuan Kingdom added with a bit of sharp, murderous intent, and even more threats. Lu Muyen hated people who used their family background to oppress her the most. Her beautiful eyes narrowed slightly, and she said lazily, I've got a lot of money and want to find a place to spend it. What can you do about it? Her answer made everyone present twitch their lips. So it turned out that she bid because she had a lot of money and nowhere to use it. She was truly arrogant and exasperating. The Crown Prince of Nanshuan Kingdom almost spit out a mouthful of old blood. He only had 360,000 spiritual stones on him, and it was all gathered from his teammates. This woman truly was too presumptuous. 360,000. Calling out his bottom price, he looked at Lu Muyen with deep, threatening cold eyes. Lu Muyen smiled sweetly, beautiful and moving. She blinked at the Crown Prince of Nanshuan Kingdom and said, 361,000 spiritual stones. The Crown Prince of Nanshuan Kingdom couldn't help but stand and point at her, but he didn't know how to curse her. This woman must have done it on purpose. How did she know that he only had 360,000 spiritual stones on him? Although I have a lot of money, but I can't waste it. Lu Muyen chuckled lightly, then raised her eyes and said to the Crown Prince of Nanshuan Kingdom with a smile, Your Highness the Crown Prince, you can ignore me and continue to bid. Laonyang precisely wants to frustrate you to death. Anyone who dared threaten her all went to hell. As long as she wanted to win this Summer Light boat, then the Crown Prince of Nanchuan Kingdom would definitely hold a grudge. Since they were going to forge a feud anyways, then it didn't matter if she angered the other party a little more. The killing intent in the other party's eyes wasn't concealed at all, and the more he was like this, the more she wanted to poke the other's sore spot. Moreover, this flying-type magic tool was a way of escape for the Lu clan if they ever met danger, so she naturally wouldn't yield. Want to buy the Summer Light boat? Well, then she'd definitely snatch it. Chapter 279, Conspiracy. The Crown Prince of Nanchuan Kingdom was choked by Lu Muyen and couldn't say a word, annoyed and frustrated to death. He took a deep breath and sat back in his seat, afraid that he wouldn't be able to resist strangling that woman that smiled like a flower. Your Royal Highness the Crown Prince, continue. Lu Muyen saw the other party's expression turn grim and she smiled even more cheerfully. There was even an expression of wanting this to continue on her face. Seeing this, the others couldn't bear to look directly at her. Why did they feel that this stunning woman really needed a beating? This was blatant showing off, having money sure made one arrogant. The anger that the Crown Prince of Nanchuan Kingdom had just suppressed soared again. He snorted coldly with a dark expression, "I'll let you. But you don't have to let me." Lu Muyen blinked innocently. The Crown Prince of Nanchuan glared at her fiercely, then turned to Lang Yi on the stage and said, "Young Miss Lang, let's continue the auction." He also wanted to continue to bid. But it was a pity that he was suppressed by Lu Muyen. If he still had more spiritual stones, he would definitely smash them on the floor and blind Lu Muyen. Lang Yi glanced at the Crown Prince of Nanchuan meaningfully with her usual smile on her beautiful face, while there was a small, genuine smile seeping from her eyes. That woman named Lu Muyen sure was interesting. This young miss has bid 361,000 spiritual stones. Is there anyone who will bid higher? After waiting for a while, no one bid any more, and Lang Yi said with a smile, "I will count from 3. If no one bids, the Summer Light boat will belong to this young Mississippi. 3, 2, 1. Congratulations to this young miss for winning the finale item of the Ming Chamber of Commerce Alliance auction." Lang Yi said a few more emotional words and ended the auction. When she left, she glanced at Lu Muyen with great interest. Lu Muyen's eyes met hers for a few breaths of time, and an arc rose on her lips. After the auction, the Crown Prince of Nanchuan Kingdom walked in front of Lu Muyen with a grim and sinister smile on his face. "Lu Muyen, I hope you can enter the finals alive." Pfft. Lu Muyen raised an eyebrow and said with a smile, "You once said the same to me, but this young miss is still alive and well, yet he has already reported to the palace of King Yama. Just you wait." The Crown Prince of Nanchuan Kingdom naturally knew that Yu led people to besiege and kill Lu Muyen, but was instead backlashed by the talisman. That person's death was indeed inseparable from this woman. Lu Muyen revealed a look as if she were looking at an idiot. "I'll accompany you to the end." There were countless people who wanted her to die, and there were also many people who had told her to wait, but in the end, she was still living filled with sound and color, while those who spoke harshly all went to hell. So she never spoke harshly to anyone. She was always just a proactive person. After the Crown Prince of Nanchuan left, Lu Muyen and her party went to the Ming Chamber of Commerce Alliance to exchange for the auction items. Lu Muyen was taken to a special private room and was personally received by Manager Jiang. "Young Miss Lu, here are the several items you won today, you can count them." Manager Jiang pushed a few boxes in front of Lu Muyen and said. Lu Muyen checked them once, and after noting that there weren't any problems, she handed the spiritual stone she prepared to Manager Jiang. "I've troubled Manager Jiang today. Young Miss Lu is being too polite. It is this one's honor to serve young Mississippi. After being polite with Lu Mu Yen a little more, Manager Jiang suddenly said to Lu Mu Yen, as if having remembered something, "Young Miss Lu, Great Master Wu once explained that the person who won the Sumer light boat should drip blood to be recognized as the owner as soon as possible." "Why?" Lu Mu Yen asked in befuddlement. According to him, this flying magic tool had only just been refined, and there will be unexpected gains within a month of recognizing the owner by dripping blood. So young Miss Lu might as well give it a try. Manager Jiang said with a smile. Lu Mu Yan's gaze deepened, but she revealed a look of joy on her face. "Thank you for reminding me, I'll try it when I get back to the inn." Then this one Jiang here wishes young Miss Lu good luck. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks. After Lu Mu Yen said goodbye to Manager Jiang, she went out of the Ming Chamber of Commerce Alliance with Yi Qing Han and the others. As soon as she walked out of the door, she saw Luo Li and several others waiting for her. "Lu Mu Yen, what are your plans for the time being?" Luo Li stepped forward and smiled handsomely. Lu Mu Yen smiled warmly. "We're going to stay in the central city and wait for the finals." "That sounds like a good choice, and we're not going to go out anymore either. Come over when you have time and let's have a drink." Luo Li invited. Lu Mu Yen nodded, "Sure." Si Nan and the others still had things to do, so they greeted her, then went their separate ways. After returning to the inn, Lu Mu Yen wasn't in a hurry to drip blood to be recognized as the owner. She took out that insidious earth-rank sword skill and the flying-type magic tool. When her eyes glanced towards the flying magic tool, her dark pupils grew deeper and darker. She picked up the magic tool and looked at it, then halted when looking at a place where complicated patterns were carved on the whole. A sneer appeared on her lips. This flying-type magic tool could be regarded as a fine product among top-quality Saint tools. It was basically flawless, but as she expected, there was a problem. At the same time, sitting in a secret basement in the central city was a pale man who looked around 30 years old. In front of him was a mirror made of spar, the same material as the crystal wall used by the 6 major sects to monitor the competition space. The situation of the auction was played in the mirror, and the image on the mirror disappeared when Lu Mu Yen returned to the inn. The reflection array set up in the competition space cannot map the image of the residential area of the central city. This was also to ensure the privacy of the sword masters. The man with a pale face and lips that were bewitchingly red walked to the ice bed one behind him. Lying on the ice bed was a beautiful woman in white. Her face was paler than the man's and bloodless. Her aura was faint, and she was like a dead person. If other people at the auction were here, they would be a little surprised, because the woman lying on the ice bed actually looked a bit similar to Lu Mu Yen. "Ling Qiu, I've finally found someone who has the same bloodline relationship as you, with a soul that is a good fit for your soul." The man reached out and stroked the woman's face with gentle eyes. "As long as you devour her soul and refine it, we will be able to reunite again." He held the woman's cold hand and placed it on his lips with his eyes closed. Then he furrowed his brows and muttered to himself, "Why hasn't she dropped her blood to be recognized as owner yet after so long?" If the usual sword master heard the words that he told the Ming Chamber of Commerce Alliance to tell, then they would have long felt impatient and dripped blood to be recognized as owner. That little girl sure could remain calm. He sighed and continued to pour out his heart to the sleeping woman. "You have been sleeping for 100 years. Who would understand my loneliness? No matter what means I use, I must wake you up." It would be troublesome if the girl named Lu Mu Yen didn't drip blood to have the flying magic tool recognize her as owner. He divined that the person who would win the flying-type magic tool would be a junior who had a certain connection with his beloved wife and would also be the person he was looking for. He originally thought that hiding a soul-refining array in that flying magic tool would be enough to directly arrest the soul of the junior here, but he didn't expect that she was still calm until now to not have dripped blood to be recognized as owner. There was a haze and determination in his eyes. If Lu Mu Yen still had not yet dripped blood, then he could only secretly break the rules of the competition space and go catch her in person. Fortunately, he was currently one of the judges representing the smithing pavilion for this tournament for hegemony, otherwise it would have been more difficult to act. He just hoped that Lu Mu Yen would just drip the blood herself as soon as possible to save him from risking himself to act. Meanwhile, Lu Mu Yen, who he was hoping would fall into his trap, didn't pay attention to the flying magic tool at all, but instead, put all her energy into the earth-rank sword skill that was known to be insidious. So the ice bed is apparently made from something, but don't know what it is because it was censored too low. Maybe 1,000-year-old profound ice or something, who knows. Chapter 280. Ghost Spirit Mystic Cultivator Lu Mu Yen took the earth-rank sword skill and flipped it back and forth, then pondered. Owner, this book gives me a bad feeling. Bing Ji was lost in thought as he looked at the sword skill with dislike. Lu Mu Yen raised her eyes. What's the bad feeling? This sword skill makes people feel extremely cold with just a few glances, as if a poisonous snake waiting for an opportunity to bite my neck. Bing Ji shrank his neck. Lu Mu Yen furrowed her brows slightly, then took Meow Meow from her wrist. Meow Meow, do you feel this way? Owner, although I don't feel this way, but this book gives me a sinister and evil feeling. I don't like it. Meow Meow resolutely wrapped around Lu Mu Yan's wrist again, staying far away from the book. Owner, I also hate the aura in this book. Shue Shue said. Lu Mu Yen probed into the spirit beast ring with her mental energy and found that Mo Yen was still sleeping. Her brows were knitted deeply, and she reached out to open the sword skill. The words in the sword skill weren't written in the common language of this continent, but it was a kind of silver scorpion language, which she had learnt in the immortal cultivation world. Placing her mind into the words of the book and interpreting it little by little, she gradually became enchanted. Time flew fast, and a day went by in the blink of an eye. Suddenly, a faint black aura emerged from the book in Lu Mu Yan's hand and penetrated into her nose. Slowly, Lu Mu Yan's eyes were half closed, as if she was about to fall asleep. And her eyes began to grow jaded, as if she were being controlled by something. Bing Ji was shocked when he saw this and urgently shouted, Owner, owner. Meow Meow and Shue Shue tugged Lu Mu Yan's arm at the same time and shouted owner together, wanting to awaken her consciousness. But no matter what method they tried, they couldn't awaken Lu Mu Yen. Bing Ji's eyes revealed some ruthlessness, then he stretched out his claws, wanting to grab the sword skill in Lu Mu Yan's hand and throw it away. It must be this insidious sword skill that made owner lose her consciousness. But before his claws even touched the sword skill, he was entangled in a wisp of black aura that suddenly emerged from the book, and he was unable to get rid of it no matter what. The three demonic beasts couldn't cut the black aura with their demonic energy either, and they couldn't help but feel anxious. Then, the wisps of black aura continued to climb along Lu Mu Yan's hand. When it was right about to enter through her temples, Lu Mu Yen, who was originally jaded, suddenly opened her eyes, with sharpness in her gaze. She recited a few spells, and with a little tap, a jade-colored rune belt instantly bound the black aura. Then she turned the palm of her hand, and a cluster of purple cold flames emerged. She lightly yelled, Go! The purple gold spirit flame then turned into a small fire snake and slipped into that sword skill. In only a short while, the whole book was shrouded in darkness. Lu Mu Yen stretched out her hand and pulled, and the black aura that bound Bing Ji's feet were torn apart and disappeared. Owner, are you alright? Bing Ji looked at the sword skill that was already enveloped by a dense dark fog, no longer able to see what was within, with lingering fears. What is this? Lu Mu Yen shook her head, I'm fine. You'll know what it is in a bit. There was a hint of coldness on her lips. She kept forming seals and inserting them into the sword skill. After doing everything, she closed her eyes and started to rest. After around a quarter of an hour, she opened her eyes and said to the book, "How does it feel to have your soul roasted? You still won't reveal your true form? Come and read on our website Wuxia World site." Thanks. As soon as her voice fell, a black mist emerged from the book, then turned into a dark figure whose face couldn't be seen clearly. "You've long discovered me." The man's voice was very hoarse and concealed the suppressed pain from being burned by spirit flames. Lu Muyen stretched out an arm and leaned on a fist languidly. "I only discovered you when you performed your soul disorienting skill on me." Of course, although she didn't feel the sinister aura like her 3 spirit pets did, but she could smell a faint bloody scent from the pages of the sword skill. So she placed her mental energy on the pages to investigate the content of the sword skill. What surprised her was that although this sword skill was only an earth rank sword skill, but the 10 sets of sword techniques within truly astonished her. While she read, she was slowly enchanted, but because of her initial vigilance, she also released a part of her mental energy for surveillance outside. Sure enough, when she was enchanted by it, a powerful foreign aura suddenly burst out and cast an advanced soul disorienting skill on her. If it weren't that she had already recovered her mental energy and even advanced, she would have really capsized in the gutter this time. Gasp! The man took a deep breath as the purple gold spirit flame burned him. "What do you want?" He never imagined that a mere sword monarch would not only be able to discover his existence, but also have such powerful mental energy to resist his soul disorienting skill, and also own a purple gold spirit flame that could restrain all evil things. "If I guessed correctly, you wanted to devour my divine soul just now, right?" Lu Muyan's voice was cold. The divine soul of a person was one's soul and mental energy. Once it was devoured by the opponent, one would become an idiot. At best, one would become like the former owner of the sword skill Si Nan and the others mentioned, their cultivation base becoming stagnant and having no fate on the road to the strong. This man's actions really stepped on Lu Muyan's baseline. "Since you've seen through it, then this eminence has nothing to say." The man's voice was filled with unwillingness and despair. "Humph. If you have nothing to say, then go die." Lu Muyan's eyes grew cold, and the purple gold spirit flame instantly burst out of the pages and wrapped around the man. The man didn't expect the woman opposite to be so ruthless. His whole body was burned by the spirit flame as if it were about to melt. If this continued, he wouldn't even have the chance to snatch a body and reincarnate. "Stop. Stop." The man said with a bit of pain, "This eminence will make a deal with you to ensure that not only will you not suffer, but you will also gain a lot." Lu Muyen narrowed her eyes, thought for a bit, then beckoned with her hands for the purple gold spirit flame to return. "Don't play any tricks, or I can kill you at any moment." This man had only 1/10 of their ghost spirit aura left yet was still so powerful. In addition, he called himself this eminence, so his origin must be extraordinary. If it weren't for the purple gold spirit flame, she wouldn't be able to do anything about him either, and instead, she might even receive backlash. What kind of tricks can be played when this eminence is like this? The man laughed at himself. "Are you a mystic cultivator one?" Lu Muyan's tone was affirmative. The man was stunned for a moment, obviously not expecting Lu Muyen to see through his identity before his physical body was destroyed, but there was also nothing to hide. "Yes. Tell me, what will you use to make a deal with me?" She discovered that many people she met liked to make deals with her, but she was indeed a little interested in hearing about it. With a thought, the black mist surrounding the sword skill all entered his body, and strands of black energy quickly repaired his weakened soul that had been scorched earlier. Lu Muyen narrowed her eyes. The aura this ghost spirit mystic cultivator exuded was currently so weak, and yet was still not weaker than that of a peak phase sword sovereign. When his body was not yet damaged, he was probably so powerful that countless high-level sword masters would even have to look up to him. "You must know of the land of inheritance." Only after the man's soul was automatically repaired did he speak slowly. Lu Mu Yan's eyes sharpened. The deal you want to discuss with me is about the land of inheritance. One might change this translation of mystic cultivator up later, or stick with it, I'm not sure. I even considered fiend cultivator, but it sounded too evil. The thing is, I translated to demonic beast, to devil cultivator and to demon cultivator. Now, suddenly appears. And are pretty similar in meaning and generally translates to demons. They are also in the idiom, demons and ghosts. At the same time, I wanted to differentiate them all, so I might use mystic cultivator, because this is the same mystic I used when translating the species of demonic beasts before, like mystic striped tiger, also, has less of an evil connotation compared to the other words, if that makes sense. Mainly because this is the same word used in witches' magic, like magic used in Harry Potter and all. There are slightly different connotations in the words, and literally translates to evil, and I feel is the most evil word out of these three words, then which is more monster-related, but also demons, while because has the association to magic, it's the least sinister per se, but it's also associated with which is demon king, so it's a very ambiguous character. Idk. There's a lot of history to the words, I'm sure, and I just gave a very simplified explanation with potential errors XD. Chapter 281. The final begins. Lu Mu Yen guessed that this ghost spurt should have been attached to the sword skill in the land of inheritance. She was more and more interested in the deal he mentioned now. The man's voice in the black mist was still hoarse and low. This eminence can open a great hall in the land of inheritance. There are not only manuals in there, but also magic tools, pills, and such left by that man. You're not going to tell me that the owner of that hall is you, will you? Naturally not. When this eminence's physical body was destroyed, and my soul shattered and fled, this stray soul was dragged into a spatial storm, and that was how it inexplicably entered the land of inheritance. He felt that the woman across from him was young, but definitely experienced, so she would easily discover if he lied. Since he wanted to make a deal, then as long as it didn't involve his own secrets, he had nothing to hide. Lu Mu Yen nodded with a thoughtful gaze and asked, "Are all your 10 wisps of split souls still alive?" The man was hidden in the black mist, so his face couldn't be seen, but his stiffened body still revealed his shock. "How do you know this eminence has 10 split souls?" His voice was cold. "Naturally, I felt it from your current soul's weakened degree. This is one of my secret skills." Lu Mu Yan's meaning was very clear. "I won't tell you my secret skill." She only said aloud the situation with the man's split souls to make him fear her, and it would be more beneficial for when they negotiated. The man secretly sighed in relief. It was the first time he met this woman, so it was impossible for her to see through his identity, let alone in this small interface. This eminence has been wandering in that palace for a century, and it has been marked with my soul imprint, so that place can be accessed freely by me. The man paused, then said, "Then how can you be sure that I can enter the land of inheritance?" Lu Mu Yen asked with a smile. "The purpose of you participating in the Tianling Continent Tournament for Hegemony should be to join the 6 major sects, right?" The man asked instead. "Yes. The land of inheritance is about to open. As long as you enter the 6 major sects, you will have a chance to obtain a place to enter. With your ability, this eminence believes it isn't difficult." This woman's cultivation base wasn't high, but she was just so damned shrewd. Lu Mu Yen took out some spiritual tea and slowly brewed it. Not long after, a serene tea fragrance wafted out, and the man's gaze dimmed. "What do you want in exchange?" Lu Mu Yen asked while holding the teacup. "Help this eminence strengthen this wisp of split soul." The man responded. Lu Mu Yen stared at the clear and fragrant tea in the cup, then said after a while, "Sure. Let's establish a partner relationship first, then we can discuss further trades after we can trust each other." The identity of this man when he was alive was definitely not simple, and was also quite mysterious. It aroused her interest, so it was all right to play with him a little. "All right," the man said without hesitation. If this woman could be trusted, then they could indeed cooperate on a lot more things. With a thought, Lu Mu Yen took out a 1,000-year-old icebox. After opening it, she could detect the man's scorching gaze. "You actually have the soul-nourishing wood, that sort of divine item." The man couldn't resist but exclaim. Lu Mu Yen ignored him, and with a sweep of her hand, a golden knife was held in her hand. She chopped off a section of the soul-nourishing wood and quickly carved it up with the knife. Not long after, a wooden pendant took shape in her hands. She then took out a few spiritual stones and arranged a spirit-nourishing array, sealed it in the pendant, then hung it round her neck with a red thread. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks. She originally wanted to make a bracelet to wear on her hand, but the bracelet Shueshua transformed into already took that place, so she could only carve it into a pendant. You can stay in this soul-nourishing wood pendant to recuperate. I've set up a spirit-nourishing array which can absorb the spiritual energy of heaven and earth and cooperate with the soul-nourishing wood to nourish your soul. Lu Mu Yen raised her eyes and looked at the man, saying slowly. This piece of soul-nourishing wood that was originally dead was brought back to life by the green mist spiritual energy in her body, and it even grew fresh shoots. Therefore, the carved ornaments had the effect of normal soul-nourishing wood. All right, then this eminence won't be polite. After he finished speaking, the man turned into a wisp of black aura and entered the pendant on Lu Mu Yan's neck. With his means and vision, he could naturally tell that Lu Mu Yen didn't do anything suspicious to the array and soul-nourishing wood. Since we're in a partner relationship, then don't call yourself this eminence in front of me in the future. Lu Mu Yen said after cleaning up the sawdust on the ground. The man sighed, all right. The soul-nourishing wood is a divine rank spiritual item. If I hang it around my neck, then some powerhouses might see through it. With your abilities, you should be able to camouflage it, right? She would definitely not be soft-hearted and do anything herself if she could enslave others to do it. I can. After the man finished speaking, a trace of black aura emerged from the pendant to wrap around it. In a moment, the color of the pendant became much lighter, and the aura of the soul-nourishing wood on it disappeared completely. Even Lu Mu Yen couldn't discover it. This also made her more certain of this man's extraordinary origin. Maybe it would be risky to take in this man whose physical body was destroyed, but she liked challenges. After the two reached an agreement, the man began to cultivate while hiding in the pendant. The next morning, a very pleasant bell rang through the central city. Lu Mu Yen opened her eyes and a smile appeared on her lips. The semi-finals is over. She took out her identity jade tablet, and there was indeed a notice to gather in the central square. It was almost time, so she went to the central square with Yi Qing Han and the others. The person who appeared in the sky this time was an elderly man with a thin face. As soon as he appeared, the surrounding air became turbulent. Even if he restrained the aura on him, but the pressure of a powerhouse was still subconsciously revealed. The originally noisy central square instantly quieted down, waiting for the sword venerable powerhouse above to speak. I announce that the semi-finals of the Tianling Continent Tournament for Hegemony is officially over, and we will now enter the finals. The elderly man's words were very concise. The top 500 ranked in the standings in the semi-finals will enter the finals. The finals will no longer adopt the point system. The specific rules will be sent to your new identity jade tablets through an array. Now, take a look at the rankings on your identity jade tablets. Those outside of the top 500, stand on the left to wait to be teleported out of the competition space. The 500 people who entered the finals, stand to the right and wait for your new unified identity jade tablet to be distributed. Soon, two groups of people formed in the central square. Not long after, several people in uniformed clothes took back the jade tablets of Lu Mu Yen and the others. then distributed new jade tablets uniformly. The jade tablets of all 500 people were red. Your jade tablets are now uniformly red regardless of the size of your kingdom. If you want to advance to the top 100, the color of the jade tablet in your hands must at least be cyan. If you want to be promoted into the top 10, then your identity jade tablet must rise to purple. The elderly man swept the 500 people that entered the finals with his gaze once. This old man will not say more about the specific rules. After you return, open your identity jade tablets to check in detail. Finally, I wish you all good results. After he finished speaking, he turned around and disappeared in mid-air, acting very capable and experienced. Lu Mu Yen held the new identity jade tablet in her hand with a look of anticipation in her eyes. Chapter 282, Eve of the Storm. When the rules of the finals came out, Lu Mu Yen was sitting in the Stream Reflection restaurant with Luo Li and the others for food. Sinan drank the spiritual wine that the Stream Reflection restaurant brewed and said with admiration, "The Stream Reflection restaurant is indeed worthy to be famous for its wine. This limited spiritual wine indeed tastes good. This sort of spiritual wine is good." Luo Li sneered in disapproval. Sinan's mouth was very picky, but this spiritual wine was already tasted really good for him. "You say you don't like this spiritual wine, so why don't you take out a jug that's better? Lu Mu Yen, let's take out a jug of spiritual wine to drink." Luo Li blinked his eyes and said with a smile. Both Sinan and Helian Lai turned to look at Lu Mu Yen. If Luo Li could say such a thing, then she must have better spiritual wine. Lu Mu Yen looked at Luo Li in amusement. "If you want spiritual wine, just say it." With a thought, she took out 3 jugs of blood sack wine and placed it on the table. Sinan immediately took a new wine glass and poured himself a cup. The red wine exuded a mellow aroma, and he took a sip eagerly. "Good wine." He slapped the table, then looked at Lu Mu Yen and said excitedly, "Little beauty, you actually secretly possess blood sack wine and you didn't think to take it out sooner to share a bit." Lu Mu Yen raised an eyebrow, then stretched out her hand. "You want to share, sure. Give money." The corner of Sinan's lips twitched. "You really are a money grubber woman." "Lu Mu Yen, where did you get this wine?" "It's the best spiritual wine I've ever tasted." Helian Lai smacked his lips and asked with unsatisfaction. "I brewed it." Lu Mu Yen said with a cheeky smile, "These 3 jugs are gifted to you to drink. If you want more in the future, then buy them with spiritual stones, 300 spiritual stones for 1 jug. Are you robbing people?" Sinan rolled his eyes. The Stream Reflection restaurant's spiritual wine, which could also improve cultivation base, was only sold for 100 to 200 spiritual stones a jug. This woman was the owner of specializing in robbing. Helian Lai said speechlessly, "Is robbing people becoming your hobby now?" "Humph, if someone else wanted it, I'd be selling it for 500 spiritual stones for a jug." Lu Mu Yen glanced at the two of them lightly. "The Stream Reflection restaurant's spiritual wine can improve one's cultivation base, but it's not as good as my blood sack wine. You get what each of your cent pays for, take it or leave it." Sinan and Helian Lai drank another cup at the same time again and found that there was indeed a heat flow in their dantian. "Can our wine purify elemental energy?" Helian Lai couldn't help but exclaim after running the heat in his dantian for a macrocosmic orbit. Lu Mu Yen glanced at him. "No kidding." "You guys sure are feigning innocence and disinterest after gaining benefits. If I go out to sell it, with 500 spiritual stones for 1 jug, I'd not have a shortage of buyers." Helian Lai smiled bitterly and said, "It were we who had bad eyes." She was right. If this kind of spiritual wine was taken out, let alone 500 spiritual stones, even if it were 1,000 spiritual stones, there would probably be people who would buy it. Our focus seems to be wrong. Si Nan's pretty face revealed a bit of gravity. Lu Mu Yen, you, who can brew this kind of spiritual wine, should be a high-level spiritual wine master, right? Grade 3, I think. Lu Mu Yen thought about it and said a conservative number. You're just not human. Si Nan took a deep breath, his androgynous face revealing a sense of powerlessness. How could Lu Mu Yen be so abnormally monstrous? Just what else could she not do? Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks. Lu Mu Yen glared at him. You're not human. Can you still speak properly? Cough, cough. What I mean is, you're not a normal person. Si Nan coughed lightly to hide his embarrassment. He definitely couldn't defend this vengeful little ancestor, otherwise it'd be bad if she didn't go back with him to treat his concubine mother. Lu Mu Yen was too lazy to pay attention to him. Feeling the fluctuation of the identity jade tablet, she took it out for a look. Helian Lai and the others couldn't help but compare the difference between them and Lu Mu Yen inwardly. Why was it that the more they interacted with this woman, the more they felt attacked? But he still couldn't help but want to get closer to her. Perhaps this was the so-called personality charm. The 3 jugs of spiritual wine looked like a lot, but there were so many people present that with 2 or 3 cups a person, it was gone. Luo Li glared at Si Nan, who was about to pour the 4th cup. If you want a drink, go buy it from Lu Mu Yen yourself. Then, he picked up the last jug of wine and quickly filled the cups of those who only had 2 glasses. Si Nan's expression darkened. Luo Li just always liked to oppose him. The rules for the finals are out. Lu Mu Yen took her mind away from the identity jade tablet. The others also took out their identity jade tablets and scanned them. The final requires participants to travel from the central city to the fine bamboo mountain thousands of li away. Before entering the mountain, one must fight a great decisive war with the demon clan in this competition space. The color of the jade tablets of sword masters who successfully pass through the encirclement of the demon clan will be decided by how many demonic beasts are killed. Luo Li furrowed his brows and said, in the great decisive war with the demon clan, life and death is our own responsibility, and the death rate may be as high as 60% or more. Sword masters who are unwilling to take the risk can apply for withdrawal. Isn't this joking with our lives? Otherwise, what do you think? Si Nan raised an eyebrow. The top 100 of the finals aren't that easy to enter. Sword masters who successfully passed the great decisive war need to rush to the top of the mountain quickly, and there'll be countless obstacles in between. The first 100 to reach the top of the mountain will be the top 100 in this competition and are eligible to join the 6 major sects. There's a hall on the top of the mountain with 10 gates in total. The 10 people who reach the top of the mountain first will enter. They will then randomly meet to clear the final battle, and the one who can pass the last gate will take first place in this continental tournament for hegemony, and so on. The second place will be the one who exits the second door. The rules of this competition sure are different from the previous competitions. Helian Lai said with an ugly expression. Luo Yi put away the jade tablet in his hand and said, every 100 years, the finals of the continental tournament for hegemony will have their rules changed because there will be a great decisive war every century between the humans and the demon clan. Ours happens to be the 100th year. Why do we have to have a great decisive war with the demon clan? Helian Lai asked. It said that the numbers of the demon clan cannot exceed the number stipulated by the human almighties. Otherwise, if there are too many high-level demonic beasts, then this space will definitely become chaotic, and it will inevitably affect the future continental tournament for hegemonies. Luo Yi didn't conceal it either and revealed the secrets he knew. So that's how it is. But after the great decisive war, the 500 people that entered the finals will probably be cut by half. Si Nan sneered. The organizers didn't take their lives seriously at all. Although they could understand the principle of natural selection and survival of the fittest, but they were still a little uncomfortable. The organizers will assist, and the number of people shouldn't be cut by half, but at least 100 people will inevitably die. Luo Ye's voice was a little cold. Lu Mu Yen pressed her lips together in thought. She suddenly remembered the Thunder Monarch she met at Sunset Cloud Mountain Range. That demon cultivator and her agreed to meet during the Continental Tournament for Hegemony. Could it have something to do with the great decisive war between the humans and the demon clan? She just felt that there was some secret to this space. Maybe it could be solved when she met Thunder Monarch. At the same time, there was an independent hall in a place where thunder and lightning intertwined, and where thunderclouds spread all over the sky. At the top of the hall sat a stern-looking man wearing a crown in cyan clothes. He shook the wine glass, looked up outside the hall, and muttered to himself, "Finally going to come." Chapter 283. Act independently. Those present all read the rules of the finals, and although they knew that their lives might be in danger, but no one gave up. Lu Mu Yen, let's continue the alliance. Luo Li suggested with a smile. He, Si Nan, and Helian Lai had already negotiated to continue to form an alliance, and now he also hoped that Lu Mu Yen would participate. Lu Mu Yen didn't answer immediately, but turned to look at Yi Qing Han and the others to ask, "What do you all think?" Her actions made Luo Li and Si Nan's eyes deepen. Lu Mu Yen was indeed different towards the man named Yi Qing Han. Yi Qing Han's eyes revealed tenderness. "You decide." Luo Li and Si Nan glanced at each other, and both saw the fearful look in each other's eyes, a great love rival. Lu Mu Bai and the others wouldn't raise any objections. "Yenner, you can make the decision." "Then let's form an alliance," Lu Mu Yen said after thinking a bit. This time, what they would face in the early stage was to fight against demonic beasts. Generally speaking, there weren't any clash of interests involved, and the advantages of an alliance were greater than the disadvantages. Then it's settled. Luo Li smiled happily. "Let's rest tonight and leave tomorrow. Should we rush to the city where we'll fight the demonic beasts in the great decisive war, or should we hide for a while to cultivate?" Helian Lai asked. The time for the finals and the great decisive war against the demonic beasts would begin 3 months later, and the organizers still gave them time to improve their cultivation base. "Little beauty, what do you think?" Si Nan looked at Lu Mu Yen frivolously and asked with a smile. Lu Mu Yen pondered for a bit and replied, "Let's go find a place near the city for the decisive battle to cultivate first, and we can also find out some intel along the way." She just constantly felt an indescribable feeling, as if something bad would happen to her. "Sure." Early the next morning, the group gathered at the gate of the central city and met Ji Xian, Yen Jun, and the others. "You've allied?" Yen Jun asked with a wicked smile on his face as he walked towards the group. "So what if we did? Didn't you also form an alliance with Mo Ling?" Luo Li looked at Yen Jun defensively. Yen Jun's beautiful peach blossom-shaped eyes blinked at Lu Mu Yen. "Young Miss Lu, you don't mind if we join your alliance too, right?" "Yen Jun, what's your purpose?" Si Nan furrowed his brows and looked at Hai, asking, "What did this damned devil want to do?" He didn't believe that Yen Jun's purpose was simply to form an alliance. He was obviously aiming for Lu Mu Yen. "What purpose can I have? The great decisive battle with the demonic beasts is naturally best faced with more people and strength. Our alliance means that we can minimize casualties." Yen Jun shrugged innocently. Many other elite teams have already formed alliances. "Sure, let's form an alliance," Lu Mu Yen said with an unconcerned, light smile. Yen Jun and Mo Ling may have some purpose, but it wouldn't affect the alliance. She had no idea what the great decisive war would bring, but the inexplicable heart palpitations of fear rose again. "Since we're all allied, why don't you add us in the group?" Ji Xian came up from behind with a gentle smile on his handsome face. Lu Mu Yen glanced at him and without hesitation, "Up to you." Young Miss Lu is a refreshing person. Ji Xian laughed aloud, and one could hear that he was very happy at this time. Luo Li and Si Nan weren't in such a good mood, however. Their expressions sank. There came two more love rivals now. Why did these thick-skinned people always like to approach Lu Mu Yen? While scolding others, these two obviously forgot that they also took the initiative to get close to Lu Mu Yen many times. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks. Yi Qing Han sighed inwardly. His feelings for Lu Mu Yen were already too deep. Even if it bore no fruit between him and her, no matter who she chose in the end, he would still silently protect her. Of course, he would never give up what he should strive for. As long as there was a glimmer of hope, he would work hard. Qi Yi Xian no longer had any hope for himself. Lu Mu Yan's world was getting farther and farther away from him. The distance between them was as if it crossed the seas, unreachable. The group of people was very large, and they arrived at the human refuge city where the decisive war was to be fought. On the way, they also met a lot of elite team alliances, and their numbers were no less than them, but there weren't any conflicts between them. Well, cultivate separately, then well gather in the city during the great decisive war with the demonic beasts. Lu Mu Yan's bad feeling grew stronger and stronger. She didn't want to be with the others, afraid that she would bring harm to them. Luo Li looked at her in surprise and asked, "You want to go out alone?" I'm going to go find a spiritual herb." Lu Mu Yen kindly made an excuse. "Yenner, why don't we go with you?" Lu Mu Bai asked anxiously. Lu Mu Yen smiled slightly. "Big brother, it's inconvenient if you follow me. It'll be faster riding Bing Ji." "Alright, you have to pay attention to your safety," Lu Mu Bai said with a sigh. Little sister had grown up, and with her abilities, she should be given freedom to fly. "Lu Mu Yen, I heard that the Crown Prince of Nanshuan gathered a group of people to snatch the Sumra light boat from you. You have to be careful when you go out alone." Ji Xian reminded her before separating. Lu Mu Yen nodded with a smile. "Thank you for your reminder, I'll pay attention." Her heart palpitations of fear grew stronger and stronger, but she was certain that this feeling of danger definitely didn't come from the Crown Prince of Nanshuan. After leaving the city, Lu Mu Yen flew towards a forested mountain in the distance. After searching for a few days, she built a temporary wooden house beside a deep mountain hot spring. "Owner, I want to go out for a walk." Bing Jis' small eyes turned mischievously, and he rubbed against Lu Mu Yen's shoulder. Lu Mu Yen rolled her eyes at him. "I've been having a bad feeling recently, you should stay here." "Bad feeling? What's wrong?" Bing Ji was shocked. He rarely saw Lu Mu Yen reveal such a solemn tone. Lu Mu Yen shook her head. "Don't know. The danger should be coming soon, so don't relax either. Be more vigilant these days." "Owner, why don't you break my seal?" Bing Ji thought a bit, then said. He didn't want to break the seal for any selfish reasons. If even Lu Mu Yen was afraid of the danger, then he, who now had his demonic energy sealed, wouldn't be able to help even more. Lu Mu Yen paused and said, "All right, let me break your seal first." No matter whether it was the imminent danger that her sixth sense felt or the great decisive war soon, the recovery of Bing Jis' strength also added a guarantee to their overall safety. Lu Mu Yen recalled the method of breaking the seal that Ming Xiu had told her. Her hands constantly formed seals that entered Bing Jis' body. Then she stretched out her hand over the area with Bing Jis' crystal core and probed into it with spiritual energy little by little, eroding the seal on Bing Jis' crystal core. The seal from Ming Xiu was very profound. If he hadn't left Lu Mu Yen with the method to break it, Lu Mu Yen wouldn't be able to break the seal in a short amount of time. An hour later the seal in Bing Jis' body was undone. He raised his head and let out a long cry, then turned into a beam of light and flew out. After the light dissipated, a handsome and elegant man walked out. The corner of Lu Muyan's lips twitched when she saw that elegant and scholarly smile. The image was simply too beautiful, she couldn't bear to look directly at it. Chapter 284. I've waited for you for a long time. After Bing Ji took on his human form, it was just too different from his temperament. Lu Muyan suddenly felt that it would be better for him to just turn into a bird. Owner, how do I compare to that red-clothed male beauty? Bing Ji destroyed his elegance in an instant the moment he opened his mouth. Lu Muyan rolled her eyes at him. Ming Xiu is much more handsome than you. This was the truth. Ming Xiu had a noble temperament, and he occasionally had a devilish charm, though his attitude was very cold. Yet the contradictory combination made one feel that this should just be how he should be. As for his appearance, there was even less of a need to compare. The deep features of Ming Xiu were as if they were carved from a divine axe, his phoenix eyes were serene and deep, as if one would be sucked into them, and he was so handsome it was otherworldly. With his thin lips pressed together, he was like a peerless sword that was restrained in its scabbard, and when drawn, who could compare? She had met many handsome men when she came into the competition space, such as Luo Li's sunny handsomeness, Luo Ye's noble and etherealness, Si Nan's androgynous look, Helian Li's romantic and suaveness, and although each had their own merits, but whether it was their overall temperament or their appearance alone, none could beat Ming Xiu. Owner, you really are in the eyes of the lover, her beloved is a beauty. Bing Ji rolled his eyes. Although Ming Xiu was indeed outstanding in temperament and incomparable in appearance, but he firmly refused to admit that he, himself, was worse than him. Lu Muyan glanced at Bing Ji. If you don't speak, no one will treat you as mute. Bing Ji pursed his mouth and mumbled, what's so good about that red-clothed handsome man? Speaking of Ming Xiu, Lu Muyan's eyes revealed a rare trace of warmth. She wondered how that guy was now. Lu Muyan was a little puzzled. If the person who saved her that day was Ming Xiu, then why wouldn't he truly appear in the competition space? Then she composed herself and took out the flying-type magic tool that she won. This flying-type magic tool gave her a more and more dangerous feeling. That palpitation of fear should originate from here. If she threw the magic tool away and changed her location, then she might be able to temporarily avoid the crisis, but she didn't want to sit still and wait. If something bad really happened, then it would become a bigger hidden danger in the future if she ignored it now. She didn't like to leave things half done, so since she couldn't escape it, then she'd just wait. Owner, you've been looking at this flying-type magic tool a lot recently. Is there any problem? Bing Ji came over and asked curiously. There's a soul-arresting array in this flying magic tool. If I drip my blood to be recognized as owner, then my soul may be forcibly detained by the other party's spell. Lu Muyan didn't conceal it either. The several spirit pets in her had already laid their hearts bare to each other and could all be trusted. Hidden in the inconspicuous and intricate patterns of the Sumra light boat was the soul-arresting array. If it weren't for her advanced research in arrays, then she'd also be unable to find it. Bing Ji was startled. That smith is so vicious. Owner, then why don't you throw this flying magic tool away? Being able to manipulate the flying magic tool and sculpt a complex and difficult array like the soul-arresting array, only that grade 5 smith could do it. So what if I throw it away? I have a feeling that he's precisely coming for me. Lu Muyan's eyes were solemn with a rare killing intent. Instead of sitting in fear and waiting for death, it's better to lure him out of his cave and think about how to eliminate this hidden danger. She didn't know if she had a feud with that great Master Wu or not, but since he dared to do something to her, he would have to pay the price of her revenge. She sure wanted to see what he wanted to do. That's true. If such a hidden danger isn't eliminated, then we can't rest peacefully on our pillows. A coldness flashed past Bing Ji's eyes. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks, he had never been a kind demon cultivator. He just usually covered up his murderous desire in his heart. If one wanted to scheme against his little owner, then they'd have to ask him whether he agreed or not. At the same time, a bloodless and unusually pale middle-aged man rushed towards Lu Mu Yan's location on a flying magic tool similar to the Sumra light boat. That girl actually entered a Class 1 danger zone. But that was fine. In a danger zone, the image reflection array wouldn't be able to monitor anything, which was more convenient for him to act. Yes. The area where Lu Mu Yan was located was precisely the periphery of a Class 1 danger zone in the competition space. What Great Master Wu thought of was exactly what she was thinking. For some of her means and trump cards, she didn't want others to know. How could one obtain a tiger's cub without entering the tiger's den? She had always had a kind of madness in her bones, and she just liked to challenge difficult things. 2 days later, Lu Mu Yan sat in the wooden hut, drinking spiritual tea, holding the earth-rank sword skill in her hand, and quietly flipping through it. Suddenly, she looked up at the door, and her lips raised into a cold arc. Since your honor is here, why don't you come in and drink a cup of tea to quench your thirst? Bing Ji had turned into a 7-colored parrot, standing on Lu Mu Yan's shoulder. Hearing what she said, he couldn't help but look out the door vigilantly. The black mist in the pendant on Lu Mu Yan's neck suddenly dissipated, revealing the figure of a man in black, his face still unable to be seen clearly. He opened his eyes and probed out with his soul energy with interest. With a free play to watch, why not? He also wanted to use this situation to see whether this woman named Lu Mu Yan was worthy of further cooperation and transactions with him or not. After she finished speaking, she saw a man with a pale face and enchantingly red lips walk in. You knew I was coming. Great Master Wu stepped into the room lightly and sat down opposite Lu Mu Yan. Lu Mu Yan had a faint smile on her face, but there wasn't much warmth in her eyes. She reached out and poured a cup of tea for the person opposite. I've been waiting for you for a long time, aren't you a bit too slow? Great Master Wu's eyes narrowed, and after a while, he laughed aloud. You, girl, really are extraordinary. It seems that you have already seen through the problem on the Sumra light boat. I also didn't expect that Great Master Wu, who is well known across Tianling continent, would actually use such despicable means like engraving a soul-arresting array on the flying magic tool that was auctioned. You might not feel ashamed, but I sure feel disgusted for you. Lu Mu Yan smiled lightly and ridiculed, her words rather mean. What this Great Master Wu did was really disgusting, and she felt that she couldn't curse him enough. A bit of anger appeared on Great Master Wu's face and his expression changed a few times. Then he regained his composure, took a sip of the spiritual tea in front of him, and said slowly, "Good tea. It's a pity you can't drink it for long." He didn't expect Lu Mu Yan's attainments in arrays to be so high. If it weren't that only her soul could save his beloved wife, he wouldn't want to act against such a genius either. Since we've already spoken this much, why don't you talk about your purpose? Lu Mu Yan also wondered why Great Master Wu would want her life. She had never seen him before, and he didn't have any hatred for her in his expression. There also seemed to be a hint of helplessness in the killing intent. Because only your divine soul can save my beloved wife. Great Master Wu reached out and refilled a cup of spiritual tea for himself. Lu Mu Yan and his beloved wife had a blood connection, so it was fine to let her die with understanding. Beloved wife. Why didn't I know that my divine soul had such use? Lu Mu Yan sneered and lowered her eyes, her long lashes concealing the look within them. Chapter 285, Pretentious Great Master Wu didn't care about the coldness in Lu Mu Yan's tone, and instead, there was a hint of tolerance in his gaze. Lu Mu Yan felt the urge to beat him up when she saw his accommodating but determined expression to kill her. It's useless to talk too much. Do you have any last words? Great Master Wu sighed and looked directly at her and said, I can bring you back to the Lu clan. After a pause, he added, if your divine soul can awaken my beloved wife, I will protect the Lu clan for 10 years in exchange for you. He stared at Lu Muyan's face that was similar to Ling Qiu's, and he didn't want to use violent means to kill her. He only hoped that she would obediently sacrifice her divine soul. Lu Muyan chuckled, raised her eyes, and continued sarcastically, I can protect the Lu clan myself. There's no need to bother your precious hands, Great Master Wu. As for who lives or dies today, there's no certainty yet, so why are you so anxious to promise? It's a good thing for young people to be confident, but being overly confident is arrogance. Great Master Wu shook his head with a hint of pity in his tone. Lu Muyan's brows furrowed. She stood up with a boom and leapt out of the wooden house. She shouted to Great Master Wu, who was sitting inside, whatever means you have, just use it. I hate people who's already a bitch but wants one to build a memorial for them won the most in my life, and you're definitely one of them. This man wanted her divine soul yet was so pretentious about it that she was extremely disgusted by it. She knew the difference was relatively large in effect between willingly giving away her divine soul and forcibly taking it. This person wanted her to voluntarily sacrifice her divine soul and made such a hypocritical gesture, but she looked down on him instead. After hearing her words, Great Master Wu's sickly expression, that originally had a look of pity, instantly turned grim, with a hint of scarlet in his eyes. He snorted coldly, you fail to appreciate kindness. He said no more, and his sword venerable strength radiated out in an instant, pressing down on Lu Muyan wave after wave. The corners of Lu Muyan's lips evoked a touch of coldness. With a thought, 10 golden flying swords landed in front of her and formed an 8 trigrams force. After inserting a few Taoist seals, the golden flying swords emitted a dazzling light, blocking all the waves of pressure. Bing Ji also took the opportunity to turn into his original form. He opened his beak and a series of icicles erupted from his mouth, shooting directly at Great Master Wu. There was slight surprise in Great Master Wu's eyes. Obviously, he didn't expect that Lu Muyan would actually have hidden a spirit pet with the same strength as himself. He snorted coldly and 2 figures that looked exactly like himself emerged from his body. Even their auras seemed to carry the same sword venerable pressure. He moved his fingers and patted the back of the 2 figures. The 2 figures dashed out in an instant, surrounding Bing Ji to attack. Puppet skill. Lu Muyan was a little surprised. This Great Master Wu was not only a grade 5 smith, but also knew the puppet mechanism skill. It sure was beyond her expectations. You actually know the puppet skill. It truly is a pity to kill you. Great Master Wu shook his head lightly and sighed from the bottom of his heart. Lu Muyan actually knew about the puppet skill that was extinct on this continent. If it weren't that he needed her divine soul, he even wanted to accept her as a disciple. What's there to pity? Lu Muyan glanced at him as she kept forming seals with her hands, then she quickly retreated beside the hot spring. Pu-chi. Suddenly, 4 walls of fire emerged from the ground and surrounded Great Master Wu. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks, I've long heard that this time's dark horse, Lu Muyan's array attainments are very accomplished. Seeing it today, it truly is extraordinary. Great Master Wu casually swept her array with his eyes. If this fire array was a grade higher, I really wouldn't be able to do anything. He chuckled lightly and a faint orange light suddenly emerged from his body. The flames in the array hurriedly retreated as if it saw their nemesis. With a snap of his fingers, a cluster of orange flames burst out, instantly engulfing all the surrounding walls of fire. The largest fortuitous opportunity you encountered in the competition space back then was this spirit flame, right? Lu Muyan's expression changed. This Great Master Wu was a little tricky. No wonder the feelings of heart palpitations of fear kept rising in her heart. It seemed that there would be more dangers than fortune today, but even so, she didn't reveal the slightest timidity. Great Master Wu raised an eyebrow, as expected of Ling Qiu's bloodline, indeed exceptionally intelligent. Hearing the words Ling Qiu, Lu Mu Yan raised her head to ask with furrowed brows, "You want to give my divine soul to that person named Ling Qiu to devour and refine?" "That's right, if it weren't that except for you, I haven't found a suitable divine soul for 100 years, I wouldn't touch you today either." His tone was rather helpless. He wondered if Ling Qiu would blame him when she woke up and realized that she had devoured someone who was of the same bloodline as her. Immediately, a firm look appeared in his eyes again. Ling Qiu was his life. He couldn't be without her. And it didn't matter if he was to be blamed or slandered, as long as he could save her. I really didn't expect that the person who wanted to refine my divine soul was actually my maternal grandfather's blood-related elder sister. Lu Mu Yan's expression revealed even deeper mockery. "Don't give such a fake attitude. Do I have to thank you for your few words of pity?" It seemed that this great Master Wu didn't just start eyeing her now. People who were of the same bloodline and similar divine souls could indeed be devoured to achieve a certain effect. It was just that this skill had long been banned by the 6 major sects and several top forces on Tianling continent, and those who violated the order would be wanted and killed. "Doesn't matter what you think. As long as I can save Ling Qiu, what does it matter even if I bear the curse of the entire continent?" Great Master Wu said indifferently. Lu Mu Yan raised an eyebrow. "You indeed don't care about slander, but using the divine soul hex banned on this continent without authorization, if it were found out by the 6 major sects, and the organizers, who knows if you'll still have the life to continue to live with Ling Qiu forever. So I'm also glad that the place you chose to wait for me was in a danger zone, which is also a blind spot of their surveillance." Great Master Wu's pale face revealed a rare hint of red. Seeing that his complexion began to grow normal, Lu Mu Yan was focused, and the hand she hid beneath her sleeve kept pinching seals. "Do you really think that there's impermeable walls in this world too?" Lu Mu Yan's hand were pinching the seals much faster. Great Master Wu's complexion gradually turned rosy, and the pressure on his body also gradually deepened. "Little girl, how long do you want to delay this? Should I do it myself or will you obediently go back with me and sacrifice your divine soul? I think that your identity is not just as simple as a grade 5 smith and an elder of the smithing pavilion, right?" Lu Mu Yan narrowed her eyes when a faint cyan smoke rose from the center of his forehead. Great Master Wu looked at her meaningfully and said with a sullen face, "Those who are too intelligent won't live long." Immediately, he stretched out his hand and grabbed at Lu Mu Yan through the air. An invisible mighty force instantly enveloped her. Bing Ji shredded a black figure and wanted to rush in her direction to save her, yet who knew that with a simple toss from that great Master Wu, a wall of fire built from spirit flames erupted and isolated him. The remaining puppet figure also instantly became embroiled in a fight with him. Then the power turned into a pair of invisible hands and tightly choked Lu Mu Yan's neck, slowly trying to suck out her divine soul. A colloquial saying that basically means she hates hypocritical people. In a sense that they've done something bad, yet they want to have a good reputation. A saying that means that people will eventually know of what he did because not all walls can keep things, secrets, contained. Chapter 286, Beat You Up Together. The feeling of being strangled at the neck really wasn't pleasant. Then she felt a very light, but very domineering force enter down her neck, heading towards her divine soul guarded in her sea of consciousness. Her hands that were constantly pinching stopped, and her eyes gradually closed, as if she was powerless and had to give up. Great Master Wu naturally missed the fleeting ridicule in her eyes. "Mo Yan, let's start." Lu Mu Yan had her eyes closed, and the Taoist seal she was pinching formed a vortex in her dantian one after another. Mo Yan, who was originally in a deep sleep in the spirit beast ring, opened his eyes instantly. His eyes were darker and brighter than ever before, and they were filled with coldness right now. "All right." Lu Muyen breathed a sigh of relief when she heard his answer. The reason why she dared to take the risk to wait for this venerable sword master, Great Master Wu, to arrive was because she felt that Mo Yen was about to awaken. She still attached great importance to her little life. She wouldn't really be arrogant and foolish to challenge a sword master who was 2 stages above herself and who had trump cards. With a thought, a cluster of purple gold flames instantly followed her meridians upwards and gently enveloped the domineering power. In only an instant, it was burnt completely. Great Master Wu, who originally had a carefree attitude, now revealed a bit of solemnity in his expression and let out a sound of confusion. "You actually have the purple gold spirit flame in you." Great Master Wu exclaimed, his eyes wide, and filled with fiery greed. Then he laughed a few times. "Ah. I didn't expect that I would actually come across the spirit flame I've been searching many years for under such circumstances today. If I devour and refine the purple gold spirit flame within you, then the great thing I want to achieve has increased in chances." Lu Muyen ignored him and concentrated on peeling off the Taoist seal in her dantian. Great Master Wu waved his hand and a dazzling orange light instantly enveloped Lu Muyen, wanting to burn her whole body to death and devour the spirit flame inside. Lu Muyen slowly opened her eyes, and her black pupils were much darker, as if the night had sucked all the stars in. A cluster of purple gold flames covered her entire body. It formed a stalemate with the orange flames. White silk sash, often seen used as weapons by females. But sometimes men too. Seeing this, Great Master Wu sneered and shot a strip of white silk sash with the pressure of a high-quality saint tool, attacking Lu Muyen. That white silk sash condensed his entire elemental energy, with magnificent momentum, breaking through the air. Lu Muyen quickly blocked with an 8 trigrams formed by golden swords, but she was still hit by the white sash, and she retreated dozens of meters. Pooh! Immediately, her chest felt a sweet sensation and a mouthful of blood spurted out. She raised her head and looked at Great Master Wu grimly. This man really wasn't a good thing, like a poisonous snake ready to bite her at any time. Great Master Wu's expression gradually became ugly. He didn't expect that after using so many methods, he still couldn't kill Lu Muyen. He really underestimated her before. Looking at the time of day, he realized that couldn't delay any longer. "Go die." 3 green, silver needles suddenly appeared in his hand, and as soon as they were released, the 3 silver needles flew towards Lu Muyen. This was one of his trump cards, the dark green poison needles. Not only was it made from deep-sea silver essence, but the needle was also dyed with a kind of extreme poison that could harm and also disperse elemental energy. At the same time, it was also his classic work as a smith, which had already gone beyond the scope of a low-quality saint tool. Even a peak-phase sword venerable strength sword master would be unable to withstand it. Lu Muyen felt a sense of crisis since the dark green silver needles flew towards her. She also recognized the refining material of the needles. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks. However, there was no fear on her face. The blackness of her pupils gradually deepened, and if one looked closely, there even seemed to be clusters of black flames inside. Seeing that the dark green poison needles passed through Lu Muyen's purple gold spirit flame and was about to penetrate the middle of her brows, Great Master Wu's ruddy face turned pale again. He still couldn't use too much true elemental energy right now. Then a sudden change occurred, and his originally smiling face froze instantly. Suddenly, clusters of cyan flames carrying a dim light emerged from Lu Muyen's body. The purple gold spirit flame and his orange spirit flame instantly dimmed a lot. A black paw print appeared out of thin air and grabbed the dark green poison needles. The originally strong and powerful poisonous needles was blocked by the claws and couldn't penetrate Lu Muyen's brows no matter what. Roar! Then, a beast roar with the pressure of a king sounded in the air. Great Master Wu's face instantly paled. He opened his eyes and stretched out his hands, with slight trembling, screaming, "Netherworld flame, how is this possible?" While he was stunned, a white light burst out from Lu Muyan's wrist and charged straight towards him. At this time, Lu Muyan's stunning face revealed slight enchantment. Her lips curled up in an arc. She tapped her toes and flew up. A golden dagger appeared in her hand, and with a flash, she also leapt towards Great Master Wu. Great Master Wu instantly woke up. He quickly tossed out all the defensive-type magic tools on him, then actually turned around and flew away in the opposite direction. Lu Muyan narrowed her eyes, opened her little mouth, and spat out a cluster of cyan flames mixed with purple, which turned into a gorgeous lotus that quickly floated towards Great Master Wu. Great Master Wu was startled and accelerated his escape, yet who knew he would be blocked by a white figure. Taking a closer look, it was a huge, snow-white demonic beast. The cluster of bright red marks on his forehead that appeared like flames were lifelike. Spirit Devourer, how is this possible? Great Master Wu was forced to stop, filled with disbelief in his expressions, and mumbled, How can there be a Spirit Devourer on this interface? How can there be a Spirit Devourer on this interface? You can go to hell and ask King Yama. Lu Muyan's cold voice sounded behind him. As soon as he turned his head, he saw the enchanting fire lotus that had restrained its aura slowly floating over, and there was a hint of fear in his eyes. He wanted to run away from the left side. Where are you running to? Bing Ji was not only a Tier 8 demonic beast, but was also a divine beast, so his strength was naturally not average. He had already destroyed the puppets and blocked Great Master Wu's path. Seeing this, Great Master Wu revealed a ruthlessness and decisiveness in his eyes. He turned around and dashed one in the only direction that wasn't surrounded. Yet who knew that the path was suddenly blocked by a huge golden demonic plant that emerged from the ground. He could only stabilize his body and stand in the center, his eyes filled with shock. He had no idea that a junior at the Sword Monarch level would have so many means. If it were just spirit pets, he wasn't afraid at all. He could still kill Lu Muyan even if he injured himself a little. But after all his calculations, he never thought that she would have a Spirit Devourer, and a Spirit Devourer with the Netherworld flame from a royal clan at that. And there was one thing in this world that was his nemesis, or rather, the nemesis of people like him, and that was the Netherworld flame. Go on, run. Why aren't you running anymore? Lu Muyan raised an eyebrow sinisterly and smiled with her arms folded. Great Master Wu knew that he had lost his greatest advantage today, and he smiled bitterly. He didn't expect to be that turtle caught in a jar too by a junior after living for so many years. What do you want to do? He asked with a cold face, his momentum unabated. I like gang fights the most now, so of course we want to beat you up together. Lu Muyan restrained her smiles, and a sharp, incisive look revealed in her eyes. She wanted to madly beat up this bitch earlier. So before killing him, she wanted to beat him up first to extinguish the anger in her heart, then talk about the rest later. One based on context, there should be a description of how he fled, words like hastily, urgently, etc., but it was censored. Who knows what words were used there, ha 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 ha. 2. An idiom that translates to catch a turtle in a jar, which means to go after easy prey, and also to say that they had set themselves up to be an easy target. In this case, the easy target is Great Master Wu, lol. Serves him right. Chapter 287, Mo Yan's ability. When Great Master Wu heard Lu Muyan's words, he couldn't resist revealing a look of ridicule. You look too highly on yourself. What qualifications did a sword master, at only Sword Monarch cultivation base, have to speak so wildly in front of him? Lu Mu Yen hooked her lips and smiled, then let's just wait and see. Then, her hands were covered with a faint purple gold color. It wasn't just fire elemental energy now, but the power of pure purple gold spirit flame to increase her bodice power. She gave Mo Yen a look, then she quickly used flash steps and moved in front of Great Master Wu, bombarding him punch after punch. Great Master Wu was, after all, a sword venerable powerhouse, so he naturally very easily dodged her attacks, but he didn't expect that the spirit devourer behind him would suddenly spew an ethereal cyan flame towards him. Dodging too late, his face was instantly punched by Lu Mu Yen. His pale and bloodless face immediately became red and swollen, and he was furious. Just as he was about to retaliate, the netherworld flame struck again from behind. His expression changed and he barely dodged. Then, a white snake jumped out from Lu Mu Yan's wrist, opened her mouth, and sprayed mist towards the place where Great Master Wu was. The human-eating blood thorn vine king swung his main vine, that contained sharp thorns, upwards and continuously whipped against Great Master Wu. Under the powerful attack of the netherworld flame, he was accidentally scratched by the barb on the main vine. Following, the large Icelwan spread his wings and flew high above his head, constantly spitting out icicles with great power and speed. He could only use all his elemental energy to avoid the attacks from all sides. Each time he dodged one side, he would always be forced to meet the other side by the netherworld flame. Lu Mu Yan's fist covered with purple gold spirit flame obviously wasn't a vegetarian either. Each time, she would punch at Great Master Wu's weakest joints, then another punch against his face again, and a streak of fresh blood seeped out from the corner of his lips. At this moment, even the carefree Great Master Wu was in an extremely sorry state, and his movements grew slower and slower. He was startled. He was invulnerable to hundreds of poisons, and yet he was actually poisoned by both that white snake's venomous mist and the venom on the vine. His whole body gradually became stiff, and even if he used his elemental energy, he couldn't break free from the shackles of those toxins. His slow movements and delayed responses also allowed Lu Mu Yen and her few spirit pets to seize the opportunity to beat him up wildly. If there were other people present right now, their eyes would definitely pop out in shock. This was basically a one-sided beating and abuse, as violent as it could get. When the poison in Great Master Wu's body dissipated, he fell to the ground entirely, hugging his head in a sorry state, with exceptionally serious internal and external injuries. Lu Mu Yen, don't forget that I'm your grandaunt's husband. How will you explain to the Ling family how you've treated your senior after you return? Currently, Great Master Wu was surrounded by a dark cyan flame. He didn't dare to move too much, otherwise he would only be waiting for the consequence of his divine figure to be annihilated. Humph, for a grandaunt that wants to devour and refine my divine soul, it's already a good thing that I'm not killing her. Lu Mu Yen snorted coldly, my grandaunt already disappeared 200 years ago, and you, the so-called husband, has never even appeared in the Ling clan, yet you still have the face to want to seek connections as relatives with me. Just watch how I beat you to death. After she finished speaking, she waved her fist, and it was another round of maniacal beating of Great Master Wu. Don't you want to know the whereabouts of your grandaunt? Great Master Wu wanted to fight back but was restrained by the netherworld flames and was extremely helpless. Why do I want to know her whereabouts? A woman who became a dual cultivation partner with a ghost cultivator, and who stole the Ling clan's most valuable treasure and left the clan is also worthy of my attention. Lu Mu Yen mocked. She had never even met that so-called grandaunt, so how could she have any deep feelings for her? The disappearance of her eldest uncle, who was also Ling Fei Yang's father, also seemed to have something to do with that woman. In addition, she heard from mother that the most valuable treasure of the Ling clan also disappeared after that grandaunt severed connections with the clan, leading to the Ling clan's gradual decline. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks, so Ling Qiu didn't give her a good impression. You know him, a ghost cultivator? Great Master Wu, who originally had his head lowered, thinking about something, suddenly raised his head and stared at Lu Muyen. Lu Muyen glanced at him, but the movements of her fists didn't stop, although the aura on you is well hidden, but the cyan smoke that emerged from between your brows when you used elemental energy earlier revealed your identity. A ghost cultivator hiding among the human sword masters and even joined the smithing pavilion, becoming a famous grade 5 smith on this continent. Your purpose mustn't be simple. Lu Muyen snorted coldly. Ghost cultivators needed countless fresh souls to be sacrificed to their skills, and many of their methods were vicious and cruel. They were the most wanted people by the 6 major sects and several top forces on Tianling continent. Because of Great Master Wu's identity as a smith, who knew what method he used to hide his identity as a ghost cultivator, plus him joining the smithing pavilion definitely involved unspeakable secrets. You sure are very meticulous for such a young age. Great Master Wu's eyes were grim and cold. As if he had made up his mind, he suddenly reached out and tapped somewhere on his body, spurting out a mouthful of blood essence. A bubble of blood mist wrapped around him, and an unpleasant scent of blood spread in an instant. A red light suddenly emerged from the red mist and fled towards the distant horizon. Mo Yan's eyes were filled with mockery. With a thought, the cluster of flames on his forehead detached automatically, and with a shoo, it caught up with the red light and trapped it. Not long after, there were several screams from the sky, and Great Master Wu was devoured by the netherworld flames before he could say any more. Mo Yan, you want to refine his soul. Lu Muyen felt the soul energy of Great Master Wu growing weaker and weaker. Why, do you want me to show mercy? Mo Yan raised his eyes and looked at her deeply. She shouldn't be such a soft-hearted person, right? Lu Muyen shook her head. You can go ahead and refine it, but can you obtain any useful information from his divine soul? I can. Mo Yan nodded. What the spirit devourer was best at was devouring and refining divine souls, and also stripping the other party of their memories. Then he'll rely on you. I want to know the purpose of him infiltrating the smithing pavilion and the whereabouts of that Ling Qiu. Lu Muyen poked Mo Yan's body and said. Mo Yan quickly avoided her devilish hands, his gaze slightly unnatural. Mo Yan, I just realized that you've already advanced to Tier 7. Lu Muyen blinked and said. Mo Yan glanced at her, so what? He deliberately ignored the playfulness and curiosity in Lu Muyen's eyes. He knew precisely what she was thinking. Doesn't advancing to a Tier 7 demonic beast mean that you can transform into a human? Come on, give me a transformation. She was pretty curious about what Mo Yan's human transformation would look like. Mo Yan coughed lightly. We'll talk about it another time. Mo Yan, you're shy. Lu Muyen chuckled, then said teasingly. Mo Yan rolled his eyes at her. With a kick of his hind legs, he jumped into the air and opened his mouth to swallow the netherworld flame together with Great Master Wu's divine soul into his stomach. I'm going to refine and strip him of his memories. You can check if there's anything good in his interspatial ring. Mo Yan waved his paw, and a dark interspatial ring fell into Lu Muyen's hand. Lu Muyen took the ring, then made a sound of curiosity, and with great interest, probed her mental energy into the interspatial ring. You're tuning into the LoveLore Library YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.